This young man's name is Qian Vo Tin. He is the war god of Daiwa, but you cannot imagine how tragic his past is. He went to his mother's grave, reminiscing about 10 years ago when his father remarried, his mother and 2 half-siblings were kicked out of the house. That rainy night, his frail mother knelt outside the door all night, begging his father to keep his little sister. Whether she lives or dies does not matter, but the iron gate remained shut indifferently. By the time morning came, the door finally opened. His mother was overjoyed, thinking his father had a change of heart, but it turned out to be a vicious dog. In order to protect him and his sister, his mother was bitten all over her body by the dog. Thus, she brought the 2 children to live in Haidong, thinking they could live in peace, but not long after, she was sabotaged by evildoers, forced to jump off a building and commit suicide. Before jumping, she called him, telling him to take his sister and leave Haidong, never to return. After saying that, she jumped down. It was the last phone call his mother made to him, when he was on his way home from school. When he got home, what awaited him was his mother's mangled corpse and the muffled sobs of his sister. At that time, his sister was only 10 and he was 14. This teenage boy had used his skinny shoulders to shield them from the rain and wind, supporting this family alone, hardships upon hardships. Still, those who had forced his mother to her death did not spare the 2 siblings. They came at his sister with knives. Fortunately, a mysterious man appeared, killed that guy and recruited him into the army. 10 years later, Daiwa was under attack, the situation extremely dire. Even the border fences collapsed, countless were injured. But then, a lone man appeared, single-handedly killing the enemy commander, causing their army to fall into chaos and retreat in defeat. This man was the war god of Daiwa, the rising star of the military, bestowed the title Fighting Emperor of Heaven. He returned enveloped in burning rage, not knowing if those enemies could withstand his vengeance. Even Haidong would tremble under his feet. The fighting heavenly emperor went to his mother's grave. It had been trampled and defiled with graffiti. Just then, a group walked in. They were the ones who had desecrated his mother's grave, ordered by the daughter of a high-ranking official. This woman was initially his mother's best friend. Later a man came between them, breaking their friendship. He was the son of the wealthy Tran family in Haidong. He fell in love with Qian Thiende's mother at first sight, undeterred even though she had 2 children. She was then the famed beauty of Haidong, but her heart had turned to stone long ago, so she rejected him. Coincidentally, Thuong Quan Nalan was also pursuing Mr. Tran, only to be flatly rejected. In order to step into a wealthy household, she seized the chance to sabotage his mother. At that time, Qian Thiende and his mother lived in old housing while Thuong Quan Nalan worked in real estate. She faked property sale contracts, easily taking over their home. Qian Thiende's parents were kicked out of their home. To completely uproot them, Thuong Quan Nalan threatened his mother's life to force her to commit suicide. For the safety of her 2 children, his mother could only take her own life. In fact, this vicious woman had no intention of sparing his sister. She sent people to chase after and kill Qian Thiende's sister. Even after his mother's death, Thuong Quan Nalan still held a grudge. She had an iron fence put around the gravestone, not allowing any family members to come pay respects, and even put up a warning sign outside. Today was the 10th death anniversary of Qian Thiende's mother. Thuong Quan Nalan dug up his mother's ashes and scattered them everywhere. The group of people came before him, the blonde-haired leader very annoyed, warning Qian Thiende to scram if he didn't want a beating. The reason for his irritation was because today was the birthday and engagement ceremony of the 2nd son of the Tran family. This group was supposed to be feasting on seafood in a restaurant, yet ended up doing this dirty work instead. The leader had wanted to quickly chase Qian Thiende away, but his underling came up with a game. He told Qian Thiende to kneel and crawl under the blonde man's crotch before he could leave, or else he would break both of Qian Thiende's legs. After saying so, he spat on his mother's grave. The blonde laughed and spread his legs, ordering him to quickly crawl through. Qian Thiende ignored him and stared at the underling. Seeing this, the man said he would spit again to show him. But before he could do anything, Qian Thiende grabbed and slammed him hard onto the ground. After taking care of things, Qian Thiende ordered the man to lick up his spit. The blonde wanted to intervene, but seeing Qian Thiende easily lift up the 90 kilograms man earlier, he dared not do anything. The underling still pleaded for the blonde's help, but Qian Thiende broke his leg upon seeing he wasn't moving, warning that if he didn't lick it clean, more than one leg would break. Fearful, the man immediately crawled over to the grave and licked up his spit. At this time, a helicopter appeared above them, with a red container box hanging below. Following that, 10 more helicopters arrived, each carrying a red box. These were all Qian Thiende's subordinates. With his command, the boxes were lowered and everyone immediately knelt on one knee to show respect. Qian Thiende said to proceed. His men opened the boxes, revealing nothing but gold inside every single one. He wanted to use this gold to build the grandest tombstone for his mother. The other men gaped in shock. This amount of gold was worth at least a few billion yuan. Qian Thiende did this because his mother used to joke that 100 years later, he should use gold to build her a tomb, one so extravagant that the money could not be used up even in the afterlife. Now he had fulfilled her wish. He decided that in a month's time, he would make Thuong Quan Nalan kneel before her grave and pay with her life as atonement. At this point, he turned and asked the underling what he had said earlier. The blonde claimed to have forgotten but quailed under Qian Thiende's fierce gaze, immediately remembering that he had received orders from the Tran family elder to supervise things here. Qian Thiende understood. After killing his mother years ago, Thuong Quan Nalan had married into the Tran family. Extremely sinister, after 10 years she now controlled the entire Tran clan. Makkan was naturally her lapdog too. Thinking Qian Thiende was now afraid, the blonde was shocked when he erupted in anger instead, a single stomp causing the earth to crack open. Terrified, he pleaded for mercy and not to be killed, begging him to listen to an explanation first. But this king has never listened to explanations, Qian Thiende replied. Hearing him refer to himself as this king, the man suddenly thought of the recently risen fighting emperor of heaven, Qian Thiende. He was quite knowledgeable, yet still couldn't escape death. Qian Thiende lightly waved his hand and the man's head exploded. After that, he wrapped up his mother's tombstone and handed it to his subordinate, telling him to follow along as he went to see Thuong Quan Nalan. Today was her son's happy occasion, so he dropped by to liven things up and returned the tombstone from years ago to Thuong Quan Nalan. Qian Thiende drove his luxury car to the restaurant, one of the most extravagant places in Haidong, Thien Du Restaurant. Years ago this was just an old town. His mother's house used to be right here, or more precisely, where this restaurant now stood. After getting out of the car, his subordinate Tank carried the tombstone and said, "Your Highness, I can handle this small matter myself, why must you go personally?" But Qian Thiende disagreed. Taking the tombstone himself and telling Tank to go back and guard the gravesite, he had to personally punish their enemy. Carrying the tombstone, Qian Thiende entered the lobby. The girls inside were captivated by his looks. He found a dining table and placed the tombstone on top, then took a glass of wine and sat down. Just then, a group walked in, the security guards here, led by their captain, Vong Tien Du. He came over to Qian Thiende and told him to register and show an invitation. He then tried to inspect the items on the table, but Qian Thiende said he was unworthy to see them, to call Thuong Quan Nalan out to receive them instead. After saying so, he used his chopsticks to grip the man's hand. Vong Tien Du cried out in pain, confused how this man could immobilize and hurt his hand so badly with just chopsticks. Qian Thiende lightly released his hand. Currently, all his actions were seen by two people upstairs. One was the second son of the Tran family, Tran Ha Din. He asked the old man behind him what he thought about this guy. This old man was Mak Kan. He said that Punk couldn't withstand one move from him. Hearing this, Tran Ha Din started boasting. Vong Tien Du stood up and ordered his men to deal with Qian Thiende. As the group approached him, they were stopped by a beautiful girl, the head of public relations at this restaurant, Tuyen Vy. She came to resolve things, trying to seduce Qian Thiende into showing her what he brought. But he pushed her away, saying she was unworthy to see it, to call Thuong Quan Nalan out instead. "Not bad, you dare hit me?" Just then, a man came over cursing out the security guards. He was a shareholder of the restaurant, Tru Mao Tai. He went up to Vong Tien Du and slapped him, laughing that it was his mistake to discipline him. Tru Mao Tai helped Tuyen Vy up as she acted weak and aggrieved. He immediately pointed at Qian Thiende, "You bastard. How dare you lay a hand on Tuyen Vy? Tired of living?" He told Qian Thiende to quickly kneel and kowtow, begging her forgiveness before disappearing. But Qian Thiende ignored him, reminiscing about his mother's house that once stood here. Back then, the three of them lived so blissfully and carefreely. Furious, Tru Mao Tai ordered Vong Tien Du to deal with him. As Vong Tien Du's men approached Qian Thiende, he continued leisurely drinking wine. Losing patience, Vong Tien Du took out his whip and lashed out, but his speed was far too slow. Qian Thiende forcefully speared the tombstone into the ground, cracking the floor. Everyone was horrified. With a single wave of his hand, Qian Thiende caused the security guards to spit blood and collapse. The lobby became deathly silent. Tran Ha Din felt Qian Thiende was different from the others and asked the old man, "What do you think?" Mackin replied, "Although this punk has some abilities, he can only withstand 3 moves from me." Satisfied, Tran Ha Din sat down. "Then there's no hurry to go down yet, I'm very curious what he brought." Tru Mao Tai thought the commotion was caused by the security guards. He hugged Tuyen Vy, intending to leave, but when he turned around, he was stunned to see all the guards collapsed on the ground, unable to get up. Qian Thiende was leisurely drinking wine and called for Tru Mao Tai. Still unaware, Tru Mao Tai arrogantly said this was the Tran family's property and told Qian Thiende not to be too cocky. Others also advised him to be sensible since this was the Tran's territory. No matter how capable, one man couldn't go against their whole clan. Qian Thiende laughed. He had single-handedly charged into enemy camps before, killing their leaders. What was this in comparison? Frightened, Tru Mao Tai scrambled for an excuse to escape, leaving it to Thuong Quan Nalan and Tran Ha Din to deal with him. But Qian Thiende did not intend to let him go either, hurling the tombstone to scare him. Qian Thiende approached Tru Mao Tai. Since he had tried to kill him earlier, now he had to die. Trembling, Qian Thiende forced him to kneel on the ground. Yet Tru Mao Tai still defiantly lifted his head saying, "Go ahead and kill me if you can." Qian Thiende raised his leg, about to stomp his head, when Tran Ha Din came down and stopped him. Tuyen Vy immediately ran to Tran Ha Din, recounting everything and telling him to seek justice for them. Emboldened, Tru Mao Tai arrogantly ordered Tran Ha Din to help him up and make Qian Thiende kneel for 300 whiplashes. But before he could finish speaking, Qian Thiende stomped down in a horrifying scene. After taking care of things, Qian Thiende turned to deal with Tran Ha Din. But before he could do anything, Tran Ha Din had pissed himself in fear. Mackin hurriedly went up to support him as everyone gossiped, unable to believe Tran Ha Din was scared by just a word and look from Qian Thiende. Mackin sat Tran Ha Din down in a chair, "Leave this all to me." He confidently told Qian Thiende, "Earlier I thought you could withstand 3 moves from me, I was wrong. You deserve 10 moves. Clearly Mackin was very famous in Haidong. Hearing this, everyone kept sighing in awe. Mackin, not wanting to bully the weak, gave Qian Thiende a chance. If he could counter 10 moves from his subordinate, he would let Qian Thiende go. Everyone advised him to surrender to Mackin to live. Qian Thiende ignored them and asked if he was Mackin, and if he had ordered the group who caused trouble at the cemetery. Hearing this, Mackin realized something had happened. He told his subordinate to call the blonde man and ask about the situation, guessing Qian Thiende was related to the people at that cemetery, and figuring out what he had brought along. Before his subordinate could call, Qian Thiende said it was no use since he had killed them already. Mackin was so ashamed he got angry. "Who are you? You have no right to ask." Unable to hold back, Mackin prepared to kill him. Qian Thiende said he would give Mackin a chance. If he could withstand 1 move from him, it would count as Mackin's win. Mackin charged at him as the guards continuously cheered. He used his strongest move to attack Qian Thiende, who showed no fear. Calmly raising his hand, Qian Thiende summoned the tombstone and smashed it into Mackin before he could dodge. Mackin didn't think much of it initially, but soon he was spitting blood, gravely injured. He couldn't believe Haidong had someone so skilled. "Who are you?" Qian Thiende didn't reply, simply turning to the table in front and asking if they had any pomegranates here. He remembered when he was little, there was a very sweet pomegranate tree at home. His mother would sit under it washing clothes while he and his sister played around. Confused, Mackin warned him not to be too arrogant. No matter how capable, this was the Tran family's territory. Dong Ba Dao was the #1 expert in Haidong. He advised Qian Thiende to be sensible. Dong Ba Dao was the man who had initially pursued Qian Thiende's mother, now Thuong Quan Nalan's husband and Haidong's top expert. Recalling how Qian Thiende had overheard him viciously insulting his mother, even claiming no one would like such a woman, and that he had provoked his mother's suicide, Qian Thiende became enraged. Mackin yelled for him to get out and kneel, kowtow 1,000 times, then wait for his master to come pardon him. Thinking the name Dong Ba Dao would scare Qian Thiende, he was shocked when Qian Thiende stood up repeating his question about pomegranates. With 1 palm strike to his chest, Mackin smashed into the wall, spitting blood and dying. Qian Thiende told Tran Ha Din to inform him if there were any pomegranates. Shaking in fear, Tran Ha Din stammered there were none, but he could send someone to buy them. Qian Thiende reminded him he just wanted pomegranates, so hurry up. At the same time on the 5th floor, a group was discussing Tran Ha Din's engagement. The woman was Thuong Quan Nalan's sister, Thuong Quan Tatu. She was hosting the event since the parents were abroad. The man was the bride's father, Anton's son. He instructed his daughter on Tuyet Din to get close to the groom later, explaining he married her to the Trans because they were in big trouble and in all of Hai Dong, only Dong Ba Dao could help them. He knew his daughter didn't like Tran Ha Din, but the Ons were too entangled with a powerful rival, leaving him helpless. This girl was Wen Zuding. Due to her family's fate, she had no choice. Her life was given by someone else. Without that person, she would not have been able to sit here. But she and that person just happened to meet by chance. She thought there was no opportunity to meet again, and no way to repay him. She didn't know the two would soon meet again. At this time, someone rushed in and told Shangguan Toto that there was a troublemaker downstairs. Not only did he kill Zhao Motai, but he also severely injured Ma Kan. Now he was threatening Chen Hating. Shangguan Toto was furious and wanted to go discipline this person, but was stopped by Wen Thanson. Wen Thanson said this small matter did not require her personal intervention yet. "Let me write a word and the matter will be resolved," he said as he picked up a brush to write 3 words, Wen Thanson. After writing, he was about to take the calligraphy downstairs when the messenger came in and flattered him. Who doesn't respect the Wen family with Wen Thanson's writing talent and Jen Badeo's martial arts? Hearing this, Wen Thanson handed over the calligraphy and the messenger happily accepted it, thinking Wen Thanson's famous calligraphy would have great authority. But he had thought too much. Wen Zuding told her father she would also go downstairs to see. When she went down, everyone was captivated by her beauty. Being able to marry such a beautiful girl would be worth dying for. Wen Zuding was also puzzled by this scene. Who would dare cause such chaos? Suddenly she saw a familiar figure. As soon as she looked, she recognized him. 2 years ago, she and her father went out to discuss business. Unexpectedly the discussion failed, and the other party sent people to kidnap them halfway. Her father tried his best to help her escape, but they were still chased. At the critical moment, a man appeared and not only saved her but also her father. Although Wen Zuding only met him once, his image was deeply engraved in her mind. For years, her heart had been occupied by him. No matter how many talented men she met, they were nothing compared to him. She ran towards Zhan Tiandi. It turned out Chen Hating was also there. He still did not understand, when his subordinates reminded him, his future wife, Wen Zuding, came downstairs to see him. "Quickly get up." He happily looked at Wen Zuding. He had been pursuing her for a long time, but she had always been cold to him. This was the first time she took the initiative to be enthusiastic with him. He thought she had finally come around, and opened his arms to give her a warm hug. Unexpectedly, she ran past him and happily rushed to hug Zhan Tiandi. At this moment, Chen Hating just wanted to find a hole to crawl into. He had not even married yet but was already cuckolded, without even a chance to explain. Zhan Tiandi also recognized her. 3 years ago, he happened to pass by and accidentally saved his childhood friend. Back then, he and his sister were ostracized so they did not have many friends. Wen Zuding was one of those few friends. She not only defended them many times, but her prominent Wen family background also helped protect them. Without her, the siblings could not have survived at school. This kindness was always engraved in his heart. Wen Zuding quickly apologized. "If not for him last time, my father and I would have died abroad. 3 years have passed. I thought I'd never see you again. Back then you left in a hurry, I didn't get to thank you. My name is Wen Zuding, you can call me Zuding. May I ask your name?" Zhan Tiandi said, "My name is Zhan Fei, one of my many names. When I was little, my name was Zhan Wuwei. After the mysterious person took me away, he felt this name was too bleak so he changed my name." Wen Zuding was surprised. "I also had a friend named Zhan. Unfortunately we have not met for a long time." Zhan Tiandi comforted her, "If it's fate, we'll meet again." The people upstairs thought Wen Thanson's calligraphy had scared away the troublemaker, and began flattering him, even wanting to offer him drinks. Suddenly the previous messenger rushed in again. Before he could speak, Wen Thanson cut him off. "The troublemaker wants the calligraphy? Fine, I'll give it to him to hang at home." The messenger shook his head. No, Miss Wen and the two. Wen Thanson interrupted again. You mean Chen Hating and Miss Wen? They're young, it's normal to be close. After all, they will be married. Zuding will be the future daughter-in-law of the Chen family. Hearing this, Shangguan Toto was very happy, fantasizing that before the wedding, Wen Zuding would give birth to a naughty boy for Chen Hating. She wondered how happy her brother-in-law and sister would be when they came back. The man saw Wen Thanson's thoughts run wild, and pulled him outside to watch with him. Wen Thanson stood near the railing, looking down to see his daughter being hugged by someone else. He did not understand. Shangguan Toto came over smiling and asked what was going on. She had come over worrying Chen Hating might do something, like that time at the banquet when he saw a girl he liked and dragged her straight into a room. But the Chen family had great power in Haidong, so he was not afraid of anything. When she got to Wen Thanson, she saw the two people below embracing intimately. She said, Wen Thanson, what is this? Wen Thanson also did not know what was happening. Just now he was laughing about becoming in-laws. Shangguan Toto told him to give an explanation, and not disgrace the Chen family over his daughter. Otherwise, it would be hard for the Wen family to get past her sister. Wen Thanson was not panicked at all. He said, before investigating clearly, please don't jump to conclusions. I know my daughter well. Then he went downstairs and shouted, Zuding, what are you doing in front of everyone? Seeing her father come down, Wen Zuding immediately pushed Zhan Tiandi away and ran over to explain. This is our savior, didn't you mention him at home? Wen Thanson was overjoyed and shook Zhan Tiandi's hand to thank him, but he looked somewhat familiar. Wen Zuding explained that the savior was also surnamed Zhan, but not Zhan Wuwei. Zhan Tiandi said, I just happened to help. Also, when we were young, Zuding often took me and my sister to play at your house. You took good care of us siblings, and always personally went to cook a table full of dishes yourself. As the head of the Wen family, this is truly amazing. Seeing his mother come over, Chen Hating immediately went to complain. Shangguan Toto comforted him to not worry, she would handle the rest and see who dared show off power in the Chen family's territory. She went in front of Wen Thanson and scolded him and Wen Zuding. Wen Thanson angrily said, Madam, don't go too far. Wen Zuding was so scared she started crying. Zhan Tiandi pulled her behind him, saying if you want to fight then come on. Shangguan Toto waved her hand calling Mr. Zaifeng over. The man came downstairs. Wen Zuding reminded Zhan Tiandi that this was Zaifeng Lai, a capable assistant of Zhen Badao, who had done many bad things. The whole Haidong knew, even foreigners too. If he makes a move, even Ma Kan could not take 3 moves. Be careful. Seeing Zaifeng Lai arrive made Chen Hating more courageous. He said don't kill him straight away, I want him half dead so he suffers. Who could endure not getting married yet but already being cuckolded, and the opponent even beat up Ma Kan and his guards. I want to see how he dies. Zaifeng Lai came over confidently saying, Young man, you are not my match. I give you 3 seconds to surrender or die. Shangguan Toto was furious but could do nothing. Zaifeng Lai had special status in the Chen family. In a way, he could represent them. She thought it would be fine if Zhan Tiandi surrendered. Chen Hating was also angry, but then thought it was fine. Later he would make Zhan Tiandi a dog of the Chen family, who had to kneel and lick his feet whenever he ordered. Then he turned and scolded Wen Zuding, wanting to teach her a lesson. Wen Zuding ran behind Zhan Tiandi, saying she didn't like Chen Hating at all, asking him to stop bothering her. This made Chen Hating even angrier. He was about to go up and hit them when Zhan Tiandi slapped his face asking, When did I sell it to you? Chen Hating pushed Zhan Tiandi's hand away, shouting, Mr. Zaifeng, kill this madman. Zaifeng Lai stepped forward saying, Young man, is life not good? Are you really willing to say goodbye to this world? Zhan Tiandi ignored him and fiercely asked again, Where are my wares? Feeling Zhan Tiandi's murderous aura, Chen Hating quickly retreated, even stumbling in panic. He shouted, Mr. Zaifeng, save me. Zaifeng Lai jumped up and rushed at Zhan Tiandi. Wherever he stepped left very deep footprints. The guards and Ma Kan were delighted to see Zaifeng Lai make a move, finally able to see Zhan Tiandi die. Shangguan Toto leisurely drank wine, thinking victory was assured. Chen Hating fantasized that after Zhan Tiandi's defeat, he would torment him in every way. Wen Zuding and her father were very worried for Zhan Tiandi. They knew he was good at martial arts but also knew Zaifeng Lai's skills. Zaifeng Lai used his strongest move to attack Zhan Tiandi, but noticed the badge at his waist. This was a cavalry commander's badge. Back then during the war, 100,000 cavalrymen swept the north in intense battles. Only cavalry commanders were qualified to wear this badge. Years ago when the cavalry was recruiting, Zaifeng Lai had applied but failed the parking test, not even making the lowest steel badge. After that were copper, silver, gold, and the highest being the eagle badge. Zhan Tiandi's badge was a black one with no image. Having never heard of it, Zaifeng Lai thought he bought it online to show off. Without thinking much, he attacked Zhan Tiandi directly. But Zhan Tiandi was too quick, and Zaifeng Lai's strike hit nothingness. Zhan Tiandi was now in front of Chen Hating, asking again, "Where are my wares?" Zaifeng Lai was angry, still not realizing who he was up against, and attacked again. This time, Zhan Tiandi did not move, just glanced at him. His badge lit up and created a shield blocking Zaifeng Lai's blow. Zaifeng Lai recognized this as the legendary spirit protection technique. He also saw the eagle image on Zhan Tiandi's badge, which only he had the qualification to wear. Zaifeng Lai panicked and immediately knelt down kowtowing. Shangguan Toto thought something was wrong with him. Chen Hating told his men to call an ambulance, since there were 2 doctors dining there who could give him medicine before going to the hospital. Seeing Zaifeng Lai's condition, Chen Hating guessed it was a vascular obstruction disease. The golden minute to save his life was only 1 minute, miss that and he would die. What was urgent now was not medicine but CPR to restore his consciousness, then rush him to the hospital. Chen Hating told his guard to do CPR. Shangguan Toto was pleased he handled it well. The guard ran to Zaifeng Lai saying, "Don't panic, I'll give you CPR." Zaifeng Lai suddenly lifted his head, eyes bloodshot, and angrily slapped the guard away. Chen Hating was about to ask what happened when he also got slapped, flying far away. Zaifeng Lai scolded him for thinking he had a stroke. How could someone so useless be Tran Ba Dao's son? Shangguan Toto quickly asked what was going on. Zaifeng Lai angrily said even if she wanted to die, don't drag him along. Shangguan Toto still didn't understand. Earlier, Zaifeng Lai's actions were to warn her but she didn't notice anything wrong, truly foolish. When Shangguan Toto threatened him with her brother-in-law, Zaifeng Lai slapped her down. When she called the guards, she was slapped again. Now Zaifeng Lai knew no matter how great Tran Ba Dao was, he was nothing compared to Zhan Tiandi. He could only try to make amends, hoping Zhan Tiandi would forgive him and spare his life. Shangguan Toto still didn't understand. She thought Zaifeng Lai and Zhan Tiandi were accomplices. Suddenly, Zhan Tiandi's subordinate Tank returned, hammer in hand. Before Shangguan Toto understood anything, Tank lifted her up scolding her for disrespecting royalty, then smashed her into the ground. He ignored that she had fainted and smashed her down again, cracking the floor. Luckily he didn't need his hammer, otherwise this place would have collapsed. Tank was about to leave when Shangguan Toto spoke again. Tank felt insulted and smashed his hammer down with a boom, leaving a large hole in the ground. It was over. Tank came before Zhan Tiandi saying the others were guarding the cemetery and asked if he had any orders. Zhan Tiandi said this was not a battlefield, you have to fix this later. Tank immediately told everyone that whoever asked him to smash them would get 1 hammer blow. Everyone shook in fear. Zaifeng Lai was the first to kneel, followed by Ma Kan. Seeing the 2 kneel, everyone else followed. Chen Hating begged Zhan Tiandi for mercy. Zhan Tiandi went up and slapped him, saying, "When did I want to buy you?" Chen Hating was so scared he could barely speak. He told his men to bring out the goods. The guard held it above his head, apologizing that these were the wares Zhan Tiandi wanted. Zhan Tiandi took the wares and smiled, saying he would gift them to his sister as a surprise. Chen Hating said since he already got the wares, and his parents were abroad, why not come back and cause chaos in a few days? Since his mother was not here, Zhan Tiandi should accept this on her behalf, and tell her that in a month he would come destroy their family. Then he threw a tombstone in front of Chen Hating, who thought he nearly died from shock. Zan Tiandi went to Shangguan Toto, who still didn't understand the gravity of the situation and was still arrogant. Zan Tiandi stepped on her saying, "Dare to insult me, die." Zan Tiandi and Tank left the restaurant. Now they would go find his sister Zan Wasong. Zan Tiandi had waited for this day for a long time. The scene switched to a top high school in Haidong. This was the city's key high school, with very talented students. Originally Zan Wasong had tested in as the city's top scorer. But now his sister's name was Long Ni Dan. Back then when she was taken away, to avoid being tracked by Shangguan Nalan, her caretaker could only raise her and change her name. In a flash, 10 years had passed. When Zan Tiandi left, his sister was still in elementary school. Now she had become a beautiful girl. Zan Tiandi was waiting for her to finish school when some thugs came by. They planned to capture the school belle and bring her to their boss. The leader told his underlings to grab her when school ended and she was alone. "Don't worry, we'll be quick about it. I heard her parents are just ordinary people. We can throw them some money after, threaten them a bit, and it'll be done." Just as he finished speaking, he suddenly slapped his underling. He also found Zan Tiandi's car annoying and sent someone to knock on the window and tell him to move it. Zan Tiandi heard their conversation too. As a hero, he couldn't ignore this, but would mercifully give them a chance. As long as they poured him a cup of tea, they wouldn't have to die. The underling cursed upon hearing this. The leader came forward, about to take action personally. The underling quickly explained that the man inside said to pour him tea. Everyone laughed, getting a cup of hot froth ready to teach him a lesson. When they finished, the underling brought it to Zan Tiandi. By now school had ended, but Zan Tiandi ignored them as he was reading the news. A city in the south was being demolished where his aunt used to live. But that was 2 years ago, and now he didn't know where she was. If not for her secretly taking his sister away back then, the girl might have fallen into Shangguan Nalan's hands. Seeing Zan Tiandi ignore him, the thug leader was about to smash his door and teach him a lesson. But his underling stopped him. "Boss, the target is out." The leader had to let Zan Tiandi go for now, and splashed the tea on his car door. Just then 3 beautiful girls walked out, with Zan Tiandi's sister in the middle. Her friend warned her that the thugs who had bothered her were back. So their belle target was Zan Tiandi's sister. The thugs approached Long Ni Dan as her friends told her to quickly find a teacher. A girl with purple hair came out and scolded Long Ni Dan. She was likely jealous of Long Ni Dan's beauty. But Long Ni Dan just stood there quietly. When the thugs tried to grab her, some male students came to drive them away. The leader slapped one boy. Long Ni Dan told them not to worry about her and leave quickly. As the lewd leader approached her, a motorbike suddenly appeared, angering him. The woman was Long Ni Dan's teacher. She told Long Ni Dan to quickly get on, then sped away at top speed. The thug could only grit his teeth in anger. His underling asked if they should chase them. "Chase them? She's on a motorbike, you'd run with your 2 feet. Could you catch up?" But the leader knew Long Ni Dan's weakness. Her dad was selling wares at the night market, so she'd surely go there. He planned to first eat, then deal with her properly. The underlings immediately flattered him. In his car, Zan Tiandi had heard everything. Teacher Ha brought Long Ni Dan to the night market. The grilled meat stall owner was her foster father, Long Dongquang. Long Ni Dan went to greet her dad after school. Long Dongquang told her to hurry home and do homework, saying there was no business for her here. Seeing Teacher Ha, he happily told her to try some grilled goat, but she declined, saying she was busy. Long Dongquang insisted she not be polite since the meat was ready. Long Ni Dan noticed her hesitation and pushed Teacher Ha to stay, telling her not to mention today's incident to avoid worrying her dad. Today was also Long Ni Dan's birthday. Her foster father brought a cake to celebrate, apologizing that he couldn't afford a bigger, fancier cake or expensive gifts. "Please don't blame your dad," he said. Hearing this, Long Ni Dan cried, "Dad, I told you not to spend money meaninglessly. You buying this cake makes me very happy already. I'm satisfied with your grilled goat." Seeing the sad atmosphere, Teacher Ha had Long Ni Dan make a wish. Her first wish was for her parents' health. Second, for her late mother to be free of resentment and rest in peace. Third, she wished to reunite with her brother who she lost contact with 10 years ago. Thinking of him, she couldn't help but worry if he was living well. If he had someone to remind him to dress warmly and carry an umbrella in the cold and rain, to care for him when sick. Just then a car pulled up and the thugs got out. Seeing they were having a birthday party, the leader grabbed some food to try, spat it out in disgust, then angrily flipped their table over. Teacher Ha stood protectively in front of the two, angrily scolding them for going too far. She warned not to touch her student. Hearing her feisty tone, the thug leader wanted to take her away for the night. Teacher Ha slapped him, but the thug seemed to enjoy it and called his men to drag her onto the car. The foster father came forward to advise restraint. Brother Kim, getting riled up, invites evil. Let's talk it over, have some beer and goat, calm down a bit, and discuss slowly. Can we do that? Hearing this, the leader agreed. Hurry and bring the food, or I'll kill you all, he threatened. As he ate the grilled meat, Long Mi Dan apologized to her dad. I'm sorry, they're targeting me. Don't worry, with you here, no one can bully me. Dad said he already called Brother Da-K over, nothing will happen. Her foster dad used to be wealthy so these punks wouldn't dare touch him. But now having fallen, he could only rely on his remaining connections. Brother Da-K had arrived. The foster father gave him money, asking for help. Da-K said sure, just in time since he hadn't eaten yet. How could he fight on an empty stomach? Hurry and grill a goat leg. Da-K and the thug leader drank together and ate their fill. The leader said, out of respect for Da-K, I'll spare you one life. The foster father was overjoyed. The 2,000 yuan he just gave wasn't wasted. This guy was letting them go. He just had to pay half the protection fee this month. But his daughter had to come with them tonight. Brother Bo had taken a liking to her. If they didn't want to die, hand the girl over now, or else his knife would be red with blood. The foster father was furious but held it in, trying to reason with him that his daughter was only in 10th grade, still just a child. If it was something else, they could discuss it. But before he finished speaking, the thug leader slapped him, cursing that a poor wretch like him dared think he could negotiate? Did he think he was still the boss from years ago? Da-K also came up advising that one had to compromise and be sensible to survive. He was no match for Brother Bo, so should obediently hand his daughter over and he'd be fine. The foster father couldn't hold back anymore and shouted that whoever dared touch his daughter would have to step over his dead body first. Da-K immediately turned hostile. What are you shouting for? If not for the 2,000 yuan, would I care about your business? The other thugs held the foster father down, forcing him to kneel before the leader who spat in his face and mocked him. The others went for Long Mi Dan as her father struggled desperately and finally broke free. He grabbed a chair and smashed it on the leader's head. The leader kicked him back while the underlings punched and kicked the father continuously. Long Mi Dan rushed to shield her dad, crying for them to stop hitting him. The bystanders pitied them but didn't dare intervene against the local gang's boss. Just then a man drove his car crashing into the thug's car. When he got out, he deliberately stirred up dust clouds. Zan Tiandi walked up saying, so many bullying one person, have you no shame? Long Mi Dan felt he looked familiar. Zan Tiandi went before her and gently called, little sister. Long Mi Dan couldn't believe this was her brother. Hesitantly she asked, brother, is it you? Zan Tiandi opened his arms saying, it's me, I'm back. Long Mi Dan pinched herself, it hurt, so it was real, not a dream. Tears flowing, she hugged him tightly, happily saying she had just wished to reunite with him and it came true so fast. You won't leave again, right, brother? Yes, I won't leave again. I'll protect you. Whoever dares bully you will face me. I roamed the Zhonghu for half a year and rose to the rank of War God Cavalier General. My reputation is known far and wide. Perhaps only I, Zan Tiandi, could gain such glory. So you can trust my promise, no one would dare touch you. The thug leader saw his car wrecked and recognized Zan Tiandi, demanding 1.2 million in compensation or he wouldn't let Zan leave the city. Zan Tiandi ignored him and continued chatting with his sister. He remembered today wasn't her birthday so asked why she was celebrating early. She explained that 10 years ago today, her aunt had brought her home. To commemorate that special day, her dad treated it as her second birthday, while still celebrating her actual birthday too. Zan Tiandi understood. He went to his car and took out a pomegranate, saying this was his gift to her. Long Mi Dan happily accepted it. Pomegranates were her favorite, especially from her brother. The two chatted and laughed together, forgetting the other people present. The thug leader was enraged at being ignored like this for the first time. Just as he was about to go discipline them, Dake stopped him. Go over after a while, test things first. If it doesn't work out, it won't be too late to make a move then. Respecting him, the leader agreed. Dake told Zhan Tiandi that out of regard for Long Dongquang, 1 million would suffice, then kept kowtowing and apologizing until Zhan nodded in agreement. But Zhan still ignored him, asking his sister to take him to visit their aunt since he hadn't seen her in 10 years and wondered how she was doing. Long Ni Dan seemed reluctant to speak. Zhan Tiandi asked if something happened to their aunt. His sister said there were a lot of problems, it was complicated. Just as Zhan Tiandi was about to ask for details, Dake lost his patience and shouted to attack Zhan. The thug leader sent his underlings to deal with Zhan Tiandi. Long Ni Dan hid behind her brother in fear. Zhan told her not to be scared, he was here. Seeing one thug wielding a knife, he casually asked where the tea from earlier was. Annoyed, the thug couldn't take it anymore and slashed down with the knife. Zhan Tiandi easily blocked it, kicking the man away. Another charged with a stick which Zhan neatly evaded before punching him in the gut. Suddenly one struck from behind but was still easily caught by Zhan Tiandi, who finished him off with one move. Yet another tried a sneak attack from below but Zhan dodged then went behind, twisting both the man's arms back. In this way, the underlings were soon dealt with. Dake and the leader stood with mouths agape, unable to believe one man took out so many. Zhan Tiandi called the leader over. He was drenched in cold sweat, hastily calling for backup. Zhan gave him one last chance. The leader immediately knelt down making calls. The one he called was his cousin. Cousin, wait there, my cousin will bring people over right away. When they arrive, their spit will be enough to drown you. Dake also warned Zhan Tiandi he was messing with the gods now. His cousin was Brother Diao, head of security at a restaurant. Hand over your sister now, give 1 million, kneel and apologize, then it'll be settled. Otherwise when Brother Diao arrives, your death date arrives too. Zhan Tiandi ignored them and calmly waited for the people to come. The worried foster father came over, pleading for him to run since Brother Diao was vicious. They were powerless commoners who shouldn't get involved or they'd be doomed. He pointed to the building next door, originally an internet cafe whose owner didn't pay protection fees. Brother Diao crippled him in a car accident and took over the cafe. Despite the severity, nothing happened to Brother Diao after. Zhan Tiandi sat the man down on a chair, thanking him for caring for his sister over the years. From now on, he wouldn't suffer anymore and would live prosperously with Zhan here. Dake laughed at him for guaranteeing others prosperity when he couldn't even protect himself. Making up fantasies needed better scripts. The foster father didn't dare believe it. He appreciated Zhan's kindness but urged him to take Long Ni Dan away. As long as his niece was alright, he would be fine staying here. His sister also advised they leave. He was alone, how could he fight a group? Zhan Tiandi patted her head saying who said he was alone. Behind him were countless soldiers and generals. The thug leader laughed, saying if that were true, show them to me. Just then, a car arrived followed by 4 to 5 more surrounding Zhan Tiandi. Bodyguards got out, then Brother Diao walked up asking who was the blind fool who dared provoke him. Bring him here. He started to walk towards Zhan Tiandi but before he could speak, got slapped away. Seeing Brother Diao here, Dake thought things were settled. He went to teach Zhan Tiandi a lesson but also got slapped down. Rolling to Brother Diao's side, he said this guy dared be arrogant before Brother Diao, clearly he was looked down upon. Furious, Brother Diao hadn't gotten a clear look at the opponent since he was holding goat meat. I'll count to 3, you better crawl over here. Teacher Ha quickly said, Brother Diao, I'm Ha Tan Ha of the Ha family. Please spare them once out of regard for my grandfather. She had thought Long Ni Dan's brother could resolve this but realized now he was just good at martial arts. With Brother Diao here too, things would be very difficult. Brother Diao laughed that not even her grandfather could talk to him, let alone a woman like her. Still, Teacher Ha wanted to protect her student. Admiring her courage facing such pressure, Zhan Tiandi went next to her thanking her for protecting his sister, and that he would protect her in the future. Teacher Ha really couldn't take it anymore. pleading for him to stop talking because he'd already ruined everything completely. Teacher Ha said when he himself was barely safe, how could he protect others? Brother Diao had counted to 2 but Zan Tiandi went straight to 1. Brother Diao angrily took a big bite and turned to look at Zan Tiandi, about to arrogantly say something but immediately regretted it. His entire body shook upon seeing this deity before him. The 2 thugs behind still thought Brother Diao was showing off to Zan Tiandi. The leader told Zan to crawl over and lick his feet. Da Ke also mocked that if only he had listened earlier, things wouldn't have gotten this bad. The pitiable have a place for anger. One underling got up, grabbed a cup, spat in it a few times, and brought it to Zan Tiandi saying, "Here's your tea, punk." Brother Diao tensely slapped him away and poured all the spit from the cup into the underling's mouth. The leader was confused asking what was going on. Brother Diao slapped him too, cursing him out before grabbing and slapping him more, screaming about daring to offend Master Zan. "How many lives do you have? Even if you want to die, don't drag me down." Da Ke saw Brother Diao's abnormal behavior and made an excuse to leave, but got slapped down. He crawled up explaining he was just a mediator not causing trouble. Brother Diao kicked him a few more times before running over to Kowtow and apologized to Zan Tiandi. Everyone was stunned, not understanding what was happening. Even the foster father was surprised that Long Ni Dan's brother had such influence. His daughter was saved but the one behind tonight was Brother Bo, whose power was second only to the Chen family. Those 2 families monopolized Haidong. No matter how capable, this young man was alone. How could he fight them? Let's just take things step by step. Teacher Ha still looked down on Zan Tiandi. Violence wouldn't solve this. The Bo family wasn't someone he could deal with. Zan Tiandi ignored Brother Diao's pleas for mercy, kicking him away. He dragged another thug over asking again about his tea. Before the man could reply, Zan flung him away and turned to the leader saying he was just Brother Bo's underling. Of course he would find Brother Bo, but for now their debt was cleared. He grabbed the leader's hair and dragged him to his car, ordering him to lick it clean where he had urinated on it earlier. The leader still argued with him about this humiliation going too far. Zan Tiandi laughed. "What, can't beat me so you speak of morality? Where was your morality when you first pissed on my car? Are you worthy to lecture me on morality?" After saying this, he slammed the leader's head on the car door, repeating, "Lick it clean, okay?" The leader had become more obedient, nodding and starting to work. Zan Tiandi went to Da Ke next, reminding didn't he say Zan had to kneel just now? Da Ke immediately ran over and kowtowed for mercy. Zan Tiandi slapped Da Ke saying was he worthy to kneel? He then choked and slapped Da Ke repeatedly, demanding to know where Da Ke was wrong. Da Ke struggled up, saying he was just trying to mediate this time, and it was his fault for failing to resolve things. Zan slapped him again and asked, "Since you know you were wrong, what should you do?" Da Ke understood and ran to the foster father, hugging his legs begging for mercy. The thug leader and others followed suit, even offering to repay the foster father 10 times the previous extortion fees. But Brother Diao kept running to Zan Tiandi to plead for mercy. Zan said he never blamed Brother Diao, so why did he viciously beat Zan? His face still hurt. Where was the logic in that? Zan was going to let them go, but on the condition each person break one of their own fingers first. Brother Diao kept pleading until the number rose to a whole hand. The others were horrified, either comply or die. Brother Diao used a rod to smash his own arm. The rest grabbed the sharpest objects nearby to smash their hands. Soon every one of them was crippled in one arm. Satisfied, Zan told them to scram. Long Ni Dan came to tell her brother to go home, but Teacher Ha said to wait, she had something to discuss with them. She pulled Zan aside, reminding him that Haidong's situation was very complex and dangerous. He might have achieved some success outside over the years, but this place would be beyond his imagination. The Bo and Chen families wouldn't let him off. How could he alone go against them? How would Long Ni Dan concentrate on studying then? This momentary joy might drag the 2 into an abyss. She really doubted if his return was good or bad for the girl. Zan Tiandi thanked Teacher Ha for caring for Long Ni Dan, but said she couldn't imagine the level he had reached. Then he left with Tank and his sister. They arrived at a small, dilapidated alley that reeked. He didn't expect his sister to live in such poverty all these years. The house was even shabbier with no heating or AC, just four walls. As the war god, how could his sister live in such destitution? The foster father apologized that bringing the child with him made her suffer such bitterness. But Zahn held his hand firmly, saying he was their benefactor they could never repay. How could he blame the man? To lighten the sad mood, Long Ni Dan brought some hot water over. Seeing the siblings meet after 10 years, her dad said he'd go do laundry to give them time together. But Zahn stopped him since he was injured. He took out a miraculous medicinal paste to apply on the wound, it would heal quickly. This paste was concocted by the mysterious person who had taken Zahn away. Over the years, it saved Zahn from countless fatal injuries. Not seeing a wife, Zahn asked Long Ni Dan about it. She said her mother had died of illness 8 years ago. These years it was just her dad raising her, to her he was her real father. Thinking of this, Long Ni Dan choked up clutching her dress. Zahn held her hand saying with him here now, whoever bullied her, he would annihilate their whole clan. How dare that Bo family young master have designs on his sister? Would they be able to withstand his rage? And there was also the man who abandoned their mother. Zahn swore there would come a day he'd take that man's blood to comfort his mother's spirit. The next day, the siblings were going to visit their aunt when Zahn told the foster father to be careful home alone. Rest assured and help ask after auntie for them. After they left, some thugs broke down the door. A red-haired one grabbed the father's collar, saying he owed 5 million yuan in high-interest loans to Tianying Finance Company. They said they were Da K's underlings and didn't know yesterday's events. The foster father said to call Da K over to talk. He explained that years ago he invested in real estate but lost money, borrowing 100,000 from them. In less than 3 years, principal plus interest ballooned to 5 million. The blonde thug slapped him a few times, saying what right did he have to see their boss? Just then his phone rang, it was the boss calling. He hurriedly answered, saying he was at Long Dongquang's place. Da K told him to wait there. The red-haired one told the foster father his wish to see the boss would soon be fulfilled. Seeing his arrogance, the father advised him to be more courteous or he'd regret it later. This angered the thug even more and he slapped the father, telling his underlings to bring knives and cripple the old man. Just as he was about to slash down, Da K arrived. The red hair respectfully greeted the boss, explaining that Long Dongquang was trying to skip payment and even calling the boss here, asking to show him how to deal with this. But before he finished speaking, Da K slapped him, scolding him for daring to touch Brother Long. Da K now knew Zahn Tiandi's fearsome reputation, having heard from Brother Diao that Zahn didn't even put the Chen family in his eyes, let alone them. The thug leader also beat up the red hair, ordering him to hurry and apologize to Brother Long. They had only come to apologize to Zahn Tiandi and didn't expect these punks to show up and ruin things. The confused red hair didn't understand. Da K hastily took out the loan contract, explaining to the foster father that he had been too busy before to look it over carefully. It was this punk who changed the amount to 5 million. He better hurry up and apologize to Brother Long. The red hair couldn't believe the boss had become so shameless. Seeing him frozen in shock, the leader immediately kicked him, telling him to stop staring and quickly apologize. He crawled over in apology, but the foster father was no longer someone to be bullied easily. With Zahn Tiandi's protection, he had nothing to fear. He immediately paid back all the verbal abuse from earlier, beating the red hair continuously despite his pleas for mercy. After enduring this punk for years, today he finally vented his anger. After they were done, Da K took out 2 million, saying it was money for the goat legs last night that he hoped the father would accept. But inside, Da K was reluctant. How many goat legs could be worth 2 million? This was truly heartbreaking. The foster father wasn't stupid. He refused to take it without Zahn Tiandi's approval. Da K quickly asked where Zahn Tiandi was. Hearing he went to visit his aunt, Da K got the address. The two thanked the father and urged him to take the 2 million. Meanwhile, Zahn Tiandi had driven to an old building. Long Ni Dan led him to her aunt's place, but when they entered the alley, they saw some kids bullying another child. Long Ni Dan went to drive those bullies away. The bullied child stood up thanking her. He was Xiao Guang, her cousin's son. Long Ni Dan told him to call Big Brother Zahn, but Xiao Guang cowered behind her in fear. Zan Tiandi also noticed his abnormal behavior, asking what happened to Xiao Guang and where was his uncle. Long Ni Dan explained that after Xiao Guang was born, his dad discovered he had intellectual disabilities and abandoned him and his mom. Then he married a rich woman. In 10 years, he never visited his son even once or paid child support. His aunt had taken Xiao Guang everywhere for treatment, spending all her savings fruitlessly. To avoid hurting Xiao Guang, she lived alone. Zan Tiandi vaguely remembered not having a good impression of this uncle. His mom had brought them to Haidong to rely on his aunt, but the uncle strongly opposed it. He didn't expect this beast to be so heartless as to abandon his wife and child. Later, Long Ni Dan brought Zan Tiandi to her aunt's home, which wasn't much better than Long's house. Zan Tiandi's heart ached seeing a disabled child being raised by a single woman. It must be so difficult. Her aunt was very happy to see him, but suddenly coughed several times. Long Ni Dan hurried to check on her, but she said it was just a cold and would recover after some rest. Seeing Zan Tiandi, she was about to ask when he held her hand saying, "Auntie, it's me Wu Wei." She couldn't believe it, thinking Zan Tiandi was dead. Now seeing he was safe and sound, she was overjoyed. Long Ni Dan was also curious. She remembered her aunt used to live in a over 500 SQM 2-story house. Even if it was demolished, she should have gotten a 100 SQM house, right? Why was she now in such a cramped place? Her aunt got angry explaining that she could have gotten a nice house, but that scoundrel swindled it away along with the compensation money. In the end, she could only bring Xiao Guang here to barely get by, spending everything on his medical treatment. Zan Tiandi was suspicious. The deed was in her name, how could that man act against it? Moreover, the ancestral home must be worth tens of millions. Her aunt coughed again. Most infuriating was that the scoundrel married into the Bo family who controlled that land. With their wicked ways, they easily seized her assets. Even Long Ni Dan's grandfather's home was taken. Zan Tiandi remembered her grandfather had passed away long ago. Although the family later declined, he still left a house each for Zan's mother and aunt. His mother's home was taken by the Chens. As he peeled apples to soothe his aunt, Zan assured her not to let this affect her health. Leave it to him, he wouldn't let them get away with this. Just then, someone knocked on the door. It was a bespectacled refined gentleman her aunt introduced as her nephew, Kwang Jiadong, and her grandson Wu Wei. Seeing Zan Tiandi, Kwang thought he was a new college graduate and asked where he was interning. Zan ignored him and asked his aunt if the apples tasted good. She nodded and added that Jiadong cared for her a lot. Upset at being ignored, Kwang said he was the HR director at a major hotel. Out of respect for his aunt, he'd give Zan a chance to interview as a receptionist tomorrow, but he'd have to start from the lowest position. Zan directly refused. This angered Kwang even more. That was a 5-star hotel where even tiny roles drew hundreds of applicants. Zan shouldn't be so ungrateful. Seeing Zan just returned and was unemployed, his aunt said he could try it tomorrow. But Zan cut her off. "No need, I went last time." Kwang laughed saying surely he hadn't gone yet, and started bragging about how he climbed to his position. Zan ignored him and poured his aunt a cup of hot water. Another knock came and it was Kwang Jiadong's cousin, Kwang Jiaki. Seeing him, the aunt was agitated yelling for him to get out. Long Ni Dan whispered to Zan Tiandi that this guy had long coveted her aunt's home, always coming to make trouble and coerce her. His aim today was to force her to sign over the deed to him, which she surely refused. Hearing this, he started cursing the aunt's son. Just then Xiao Guang came home and heard him insulting his mom. When the child tried to hit him, he got slapped and started bawling. Long Ni Dan immediately went to comfort him not to cry, she was here now. The aunt was furious but kept coughing non-stop. Unable to watch anymore, Zan Tiandi stood up to take action. Kwang Jiadong still mocked him as useless, not daring to speak up. After saying this, Zan told Kwang Jiaki to scram but was ignored. Kwang Jiaki slapped him, warning not to act arrogantly before him. He said if not for addressing him as cousin out of courtesy, he'd have beaten Zan already. Kwang Jiadong cowered back in fear. Kwang Jiaki scolded him as useless and even spat at him. Just as he turned to approach the aunt, Zan Tiandi blocked his path. "A well-behaved dog doesn't block the way," Zan scolded. "Who's the dog cursing others?" "The dog's cursing you." he retorted angrily. Coming to his senses, Kwang Jiaki tried to kick Zan but he neatly dodged, making Kwang kick the bed instead and yell out in pain. Before Zan made a move, he had hurt himself already. Zan gave him a chance, go buy medicine and come back kneeling to apologize. Kwang Jiaki charged at Zan with a knife. The aunt warned Zan to be careful from behind. But Long Ni Dan wasn't worried at all, knowing her brother's skills. Kwang Jiadong thought this guy was overdoing the act. It'd be better to be like him, lose a bit of face but keep his life. Just when Kwang Jiaki thought Zan Tiandi was done for, Zan easily blocked his attack and slapped him flying into another room. Kwang Jiaki kept cursing the ant, so Zan went and slapped him several more times. Still not submitting, Kwang said he'd call people to take care of Zan. Kwang Jiadong was shocked by Zan's prowess. But Zan didn't stop Kwang Jiaki, meaning if he wanted to call people then go ahead. The ant worried for the siblings and advised Zan to take his sister away, but he just sat peeling apples unconcerned, saying not to worry auntie, he'd kill however many shrimps came. Kwang Jiadong choked on water, mocking Zan as a troublemaker. His cousin was very capable. But Zan continued ignoring him, promising his aunt that within 3 days, he'd make the Yanglong group return her assets and compensation money along with interest. Kwang Jiadong laughed saying one shouldn't boast groundlessly. Just then, Xiao Guang was looking out the window when a brick suddenly flew over, hitting his head. Long Ni Dan hurried to bandage the wound as Zan came to take a look. Below were Kwang Jiaki's men shouting for him to come down. The aunt advised against it, but Long Ni Dan said they went too far this time, teach them a lesson brother. Zan Tiandi directly jumped out the window, landing steadily. Kwang Jiaki ran to Brother Bao begging him to take care of this guy. But Brother Bao was busy today, telling Kwang to have Zan kneel by the trash can instead. He roused his dejected underlings, saying he had very important business today welcoming a VIP guest, so they needed to be fully prepared. Clearly Brother Bao's superiors were Da K and the thug leader, but he didn't know the VIP was right before his eyes. Kwang arrogantly yelled for Zan to hurry and kneel by the trash. But Zan ignored him, asking who threw the rock just now. No one answered, so a blonde punk charged at Zan with a stick. Zan kicked him down easily. Seeing this, Kwang told everyone to attack together. Zan picked up the stick and swung it at the mob, knocking them all down, demanding again to know who threw the rock. A panicked Kwang told Brother Bao that Zan was too arrogant and didn't take Brother Bao seriously at all. Brother Bao looked at Zan Tiandi, admitting he was quite capable. He told his men to all go up. Upstairs, the ant watched worriedly while Kwang Jiadong still mocked Zan. One thug slashed at Zan with a knife but he dodged then punched the guy's gut, quickly taking care of another behind him too. Yet another charged but Zan evaded and swung his arm, dealing with that one too. He leapt up high, dodging 2 more before kicking them away. When another thug came at Zan, he swiftly twisted the man's arm, slapping him until he was knocked out. The rest met similar fates. Brother Bao was shocked that one man could defeat so many unharmed. Zan asked again who threw the rock. Brother Bao stammered it was Kwang Jiaki, nothing to do with him. He threw the rock as a greeting, a trendy way to say hi now. Zan went up and slapped him. Kwang spat blood, unable to stand up before Zan struck out, breaking both his legs. After dealing with Kwang, Zan asked Brother Bao where did he say Zan should kneel. Repeat what you said earlier. Brother Bao misunderstood. Just then his phone rang. It was the VIP guest arriving soon, so he needed to get ready. Hearing this, Brother Bao cried that the situation had changed. Boss, hurry here, someone's causing trouble. The boss was furious, wait there, I'm coming. Brother Bao told Zan Tiandi his boss was the thug leader, who was arriving soon to welcome the VIP. He thought this would make Zan afraid and willingly become Brother Bao's underling. But Zan punched him and grabbed his hair, saying after the boss came, tell him to kneel here and apologize. Then Zan went upstairs, while Brother Bao didn't believe he was serious and vowed the boss would seek revenge. Upstairs, Kwang Jiadong mocked Zan for provoking Da Jin. Even gods couldn't save him now. The worried aunt told Kwang to persuade them not to escalate this. Out of respect for his aunt, Kwang tried calling them. Finally it worked, as long as Zan went down now to kneel and apologize to brother Bao and Da Jin, then Kwang's contact would smooth things over on the call. This was the only way to resolve this. But Zan ignored him and kept peeling apples. Kwang urged him to stop staring blankly and quickly come downstairs with him, unless he wanted brother Bao and Da Jin to come up here themselves. Kwang had already told brother Bao that when his boss arrived, he'd be kneeling there to apologize. Furious at Zan's arrogance, Kwang told his aunt not to blame him for not helping. This guy was too foolish. Having such an unfilial grandnephew must be her unlucky fate. Just then the door was violently kicked open. It was Da Jin, angrily demanding the guy be brought out here now. Kwang explained it wasn't him, then pointed inside. Seeing them come in, Zan said, "Didn't I tell you to kneel downstairs? Who let you come up here?" Seeing Zan, Da K and the thug leader trembled in fear. Brother Bao still didn't know better and told his boss to take care of Zan. Da K punched brother Bao, who was confused why his boss would hit him in broad daylight. Da K stomped his face. "What nonsense are you spouting? Master Zan is the VIP we're welcoming. We haven't even properly respected him yet and you want to discipline him? I'll discipline you instead." Kwang Jiaki and brother Bao were shocked to learn this. Brother Bao deeply regretted it, and came up with an idea. He grabbed Kwang's hair, placing all responsibility on him. Then he knelt before Zan, begging him to spare a life. Da K and the leader also knelt down, offering a $10 million check, pleading for Zan to accept it and spare them. Beside them, Kwang Jiadong was quite envious. Zan said, "Go kneel downstairs and apologize." Da K smiled, put the check on the table, then hurriedly left. Afterwards, Zan picked up his foster father and split the $10 million into two halves, one for his foster dad and one for his aunt. His aunt was going to refuse so much money, but Long Ningdan advised her to accept it as Zan's sincere wish, and use it to treat little Guang's illness. His foster dad immediately took his half, saying he accepted not as compensation for raising Long Ningdan, but would use the $5 million to start over. If back then he wasn't so gullible, looked down upon and spat at by others, he wouldn't have ended up like this. But he would never give up. His foster dad patted Zan's shoulder. "In less than 3 years he will return both principal and interest of this $5 million to Zan." He believed his foster dad could do it. Just then Zan's phone rang and he immediately got cursed out. Zan guessed it was cousin Bo. The man lying amidst 3 girls was none other than Bo Bangfei. He warned menacingly, "Bring Long Ningdan here or I'll kill your whole family." Zan casually suggested a meeting time, noon tomorrow at Man Xing Chong Club. If he didn't show up, there would be serious consequences. Just then someone downstairs yelled the company was distributing wages, "Go get paid." His aunt said she'd go downstairs to get paid. A man and woman were waiting there. The clerk handed over her wages. She checked and found it short by $210. The clerk made excuses that he deducted for her 3 days off, but she knew the company policy was approved leave was still fully paid, plus he deducted double the amount. The girl didn't like hearing this, and sarcastically said, "If you're so capable, go report it to the company." His aunt was furious but helpless. The clerk scorned her. "Poor people will always be poor." Just then Zan walked up behind him. "A dog will always be a dog, deducting people's wages for your own pocket. This is the kind of person I hate most." The boss turned and cursed at the 3 of them. "Whoever just spoke, step forward." Seeing it was Long Dongkang, he laughed derisively. As he walked up to Zan, he sneered, "Stop poking your nose everywhere." Before Zan could reply, someone rushed up and slapped the clerk. It was Da K. Da K ran over explaining he was still kneeling by the potted plant over there when he heard this fool's bluster and couldn't help coming to teach him a lesson. The woman didn't recognize Da K and became even more arrogant. Da K slapped her too. They were employees at his company. He scolded them both, then asked Zan how they should deal with these two. The clerk begged Zan to show face and let him off for Da K's sake. Zan kicked him flying. "Da K is nothing to me. If I showed him face and he dared accept it?" Da K quickly responded, No, in front of you I'm just a dog. How dare I expect you to show me face?" Zan turned and asked his aunt how they should handle this. The woman and clerk hurriedly begged his aunt for mercy. "Just follow the company policy," Da K said upon hearing this. "Don't worry. These two embezzled employee wages and misappropriated company funds. I'll take them to the police station." The two were dumbfounded. The Zhen and Wen families were now completely opposed. After Zan left last time, Wen Qingshan had Wen Zuding investigate his background. Moreover, Shang Guan Nalan had returned from abroad, and Zhen Badu was also back. They certainly wouldn't let the Wen family off. Adding their existing enemies, they could come at any time. Now they could only rely on Zan to resolve this. Wen Zuding's investigation revealed Zan's true identity. She showed her father a photo. Upon seeing it, Wen Qingshan immediately recognized him as Sha Chunyu's son, Zan Wutong. Now he understood why Zan specifically named Shang Guan Nalan. He came to avenge his parents. Knowing this, Wen Qingshan was elated and downed several drinks. But Wen Zuding was puzzled. If Zan had recognized his son, why didn't he say so clearly during the rescue 2 years ago, and again at the banquet recently? Wen Qingshan understood Zan's intention. He likely feared enemies would target his friends and family. Seeing his daughter's expression, Wen Qingshan teased, "Don't tell me you like him? That's fine, since you're Zan Wusong's teacher, ask him if he can help approach Zan." Wen Zuding was shy and hurried off. She felt her father was right. Zan Wusong must know Zan's secrets. The scene shifted to a luxury villa, the Zhen family home. The man lying in bed was Zhen Haodong, now with both legs chopped off. Beside him was Shang Guan Nalan. Seeing her son this way made her furious. She smashed a vase on the ground. Why didn't she uproot things back then? Just then an old man entered, the villa's previous owner Zhen Dechang. He and Shang Guan Nalan were at odds, often rudely giving her the middle finger. He came to criticize her excessive actions against Zan's mother. Also, I've known director Li for years and never saw him compromise, yet he knelt right there. This shows the other party is no ordinary person. The Zhens cannot afford to provoke them. Shang Guan Nalan couldn't help slapping him. How could Zhen Dechang stand it? He told his 2 guards to deal with Shang Guan Nalan, but they remained still. Zhen Dechang was baffled, yelling, "Are you all deaf? Can't hear me?" The reason was they had long become Shang Guan Nalan's people. She ordered them to take the old man away. Zhen Dechang struggled to no avail, too old to resist. Shang Guan Nalan went up and slapped him, even taking out a gun to finish the old man. This time she vented all her anger. No need to see this hateful geezer again. She wanted to immediately seek revenge on Zan, but since killing Zhen Dechang, she'd have to wait until next week. Today Zan took his sister to school, telling her to let him know if anyone bullied her. But Long Ningdan wasn't worried about this, only wondering when Zan would find her a sister-in-law. Zan blushed, "Kiddo, why do you think of these silly things all day?" After saying this, he playfully tweaked her nose. Long Ningdan teased, "You're of age, gotta get married, don't miss the chance." As they were talking, a car drove up. It was Tank, who should have been guarding the cemetery up in the mountains but quit because he only wanted to be by Zan's side. He introduced himself to Long Ningdan, "I'm Zan's subordinate, just call me Uncle Tank. Here's a backpack, little one, as our first meeting gift." Zan slapped Tank. "She's my sister, you tell her to call you uncle. What should I call you then?" Tank explained, "I look old but I'm only 25. Miss, just call me Brother Tank. Do you have a boyfriend?" Zan punched Tank again. "Watch your mouth, or I'll really smash your head." Tank felt greatly wronged. Long Ningdan said, "Brother Tank, if you didn't say, I'd have thought you were over 40. After dropping his sister at school, Zan immediately left. Tank said, "Seeing you have no place to stay, I bought a villa already." Seeing Tank's thoughtfulness, Zan allowed him to accompany him while waiting for his next mission. Tank was overjoyed like a child. The scene shifted to Long Ningdan's school. As soon as she arrived, the teacher called her to the office. After graduating, Wen Zuding came to this school to teach Chinese literature, influenced by her father. On her first day, she recognized Long Ningdan and chose to be her class teacher. Long Ningdan noticed Wen Zuding looking at her strangely and was puzzled. Wen Zuding suddenly came up to her, "Where's your brother? How do you know he's back?" Wen Zuding shyly said she wanted to see him, then embarrassingly turned away. Long Ningdan realized Wen Zuding liked her brother, and they were childhood friends. These years Wen Zuding had cared for and kept secrets for her, so Long Ningdan treated her like a sister. It would be great if Wen Zuding could become her sister-in-law. Wen Zuding turned back. "This child, daring to joke with me. Well, did you mention it or not?" Long Ningdan quickly placated her not to get angry. "Of course I did. How else could I matchmake you two?" Wen Zuding was very happy. Just then a man entered, the PE teacher's Sun Zhenduan. Seeing him, Long Ningdan wanted to leave but Sun Zhenduan had overheard them and called her back. What's going on? Wen Zuding quickly interjected, Teacher Sun, you misheard. She told Long Ningdan to hurry back to class. After Long Ningdan left, Sun Zhenduan took out 2 movie tickets, asking her out on a date and offering to drive her. Wen Zuding directly refused. Sun Zhenduan was furious that she rejected every invitation, and couldn't help blurting out, I heard Long Ningdan introducing her brother to you, it's because of him, right? Wen Zuding angrily retorted, that's my private business, it's unrelated to you. Please leave and don't interfere with my work. Sun Zhenduan decided to deal with Long Ningdan. In class, Long Ningdan's friend told her, I heard Zhao Ziki wants to see you after school. She's the school queen with thug cousins, be careful. Long Ningdan casually responded, let her come. Her friend continued, Zhao Ziki is nasty, jealous that you're pretty and smart. She comes to bully you every few days, you can't always tolerate it. Long Ningdan said, today I'll try a different approach. I've tolerated long enough, now I won't anymore. With my brother's protection, even if the sky falls I'm not afraid. Her friend was very surprised to hear this. The scene shifted to the security office. A guard brought in fruits and snacks, for the 2 bosses here to enjoy. Da Kei and the thug leader came to protect Long Ningdan, proving their sincerity to Zan. The thug leader told them no one would probably dare touch Long Ningdan now. But Da Kei was still worried. Just then Sun Zhenduan entered and invited them to dinner tonight, intending to get on their good side. He took out a box of cigarettes but Da Kei declined, we're not in the mood to go out and eat. Someone arranged us here to guard, so we must focus fully. Sun Zhenduan told Da Kei to ask that person over so everyone could get acquainted. Sun Zhenduan thought whoever could order these 2 around must be a very important figure. He fantasized that getting acquainted could change Wen Zuding's perception of him. Da Kei scolded him. Who the hell are you to think you can dine with that person? Know your place and scram, I'm working. Just then school ended and Long Ningdan was going home as usual when a group surrounded her, it was Zhao Ziki. As her friend walked up to speak, Zhao Ziki pointed at her and threatened to rip her mouth apart if she said another word. Long Ningdan went to protect her friend, saying, Zhao Ziki, if you have guts then aim at me. Long Ningdan, when did you learn to pretend like this? Everyone knows you don't have any powerful backer. To be clear, the one looking for you today isn't me but my cousin. As she spoke, a man appeared behind Long Ningdan and put a sack over her head. Her friend was released and ran to the security office, telling the PE teacher, something bad happened. Sun Zhenduan saw her panic and feared offending the 2 men inside, so he dismissed her. But the friend still spoke, Teacher Sun, Long Ningdan's been kidnapped. Sun Zhenduan angrily retorted, stop spouting nonsense, a fight becoming kidnapping? Go spread fake news elsewhere, not coming to school tomorrow. It's true, I saw it with my own eyes. Sun Zhenduan didn't believe her, get lost. He turned to go inside but the girl pleaded for him to save Long Ningdan. This was overheard by Da Kei and the thug leader, who rushed out and shoved Sun Zhenduan aside. The girl repeated, my friend Long Ningdan was kidnapped. Da Kei was furious but Sun Zhenduan still dismissed it and even asked about dinner tonight. Da Kei slapped him and cursed him out, if not for rushing to rescue Long Ningdan, I'd teach you a lesson. He told the girl to lead the way. She pointed at Zhao Ziki, she's the one who got people to kidnap Long Ningdan. Da Kei went up and demanded, where is she? Zhao Ziki didn't know Da Kei's skills and arrogantly cursed him. Da Kei slapped her down but she still refused to back off, crawling up and shouting, today I'll make sure you can't leave this alley. Men, deal with him. But no one dared to act. One lackey recognized Da Kei and quickly told Zhao Ziki, who became terrified and knelt to apologize. Da Kei angrily yelled, where is she now? He was extremely worried, if anything happened to Long Ningdan, it would cost his life. Zhao Ziki explained her cousin Wu Liji took Long Ningdan but she didn't know where. She begged the 2 bosses to spare her. Hearing this, the thug leader was furious. He called Wu Liji but couldn't reach him. Da Kei found it strange. The thug leader had announced it to the whole school. Wu Liji must know the importance of this, how could he not be on guard? He suddenly realized, Wu Liji daring to betray them must have some backer. I know this guy, let's find him one by one, I don't believe we can't get him. On the other side, this villa was prepared by Tank for Zahn, the best one atop the mountain, though still not comparable to Zahn's Longdu mansion. The black clothes Tank held were gifted by some people who insisted Zahn take them. I picked out a few sets, not bad. Zahn looked them over, not bad. I found lodging, next is dealing with Bo Bangfei. At the meeting place were many people. Zahn drove the BMW straight and then stopped at the entrance. A guard came telling him to move his car but was stopped by the boss Wang. He mocked Zahn, who was nonchalantly eating a banana. After finishing, Zahn handed Wang the peel to throw out. Boss Wang angrily ordered him to kneel and apologize or he wouldn't leave alive today. But before he finished, the emblem on Zahn's collar showed he was from the Black Clothes organization. The Black Clothes were the most mysterious group in China, with tremendous power that no one dared provoke. Wherever they appeared, blood would be shed. Legend said the Black Clothes operated in Longdu, only involving themselves in major affairs tied to national interests. This terrified boss Wang. Why was someone from the Black Clothes here? The guard didn't know this and seeing boss Wang silent, scolded him. Boss Wang punched the guard, yelling for him to kneel and apologize, then did so himself to Zahn, begging for his life and admitting his blind offense. Zahn wasn't angry, saying no need for that, I only want your help opening my car door so I can go down. Is it fine parking here? Boss Wang quickly agreed, of course, park wherever you like. Good, now take me to see Bo Bangfei. Upon arriving, Bo Bangfei punched boss Wang. He leisurely sipped tea without getting involved himself. His two followers desperately curried favor, one volunteering to deal with Tank and Zahn later. Bo Bangfei dismissed them. Our guest is here after so long, an interesting fellow. Which of you is Long Ningden's brother? Me. HMPH, I've met many newbie punks like you, I'd say you're even worse than him. But I'm merciful, kneel and surrender to me, be my dog and I'll spare you. What do you say? I'm a bit thirsty. Hearing this, Tank pointed at Bo Bangfei. Hey, didn't you hear me? Quick, bring tea for my boss, he likes pu'er the most, best get him 10-year vintage. Bo Bangfei was baffled. Men, teach this one manners. A lackey came at them with a wine bottle but Tank knocked him out with one palm strike. Shrimp like these aren't worth dirtying my hands. Bo Bangfei was confused but also happy to meet someone difficult. He ordered his men to surround Zahn and Tank, saying, I'll give you 30 seconds to finish them. Of course only Tank acted, choking a guard unconscious then grabbing weapons to defeat the encirclement. Zahn leisurely walked to Bo Bangfei and picked up the teacup in front of him to take a sip. After drinking, Zahn knew this was early spring Longjing tea, but not from the 18 tea trees during the Qianlong era. To be precise, this was pre-Meiji, not authentic Longjing. Bo Bangfei was furious, nonsense. This is genuine Longjing, picked from a grade 1 protected area in West Lake. My tea merchant friend of over 10 years guaranteed it. Half a caddy costs over 10 million yuan, how could he fool me? You don't understand tea at all. What is authentic Longjing then? The leaves should be young yellow-green, the flavor rich and sweet. False Longjing is jade green, the flavor much lighter. Meiji comes out a month earlier than Longjing, so it's often passed off by crooked merchants at high prices, fooling those who pretend to be knowledgeable like you. This kind of tea is just a few hundred yuan per half caddy, yet sold as the way of tea. Bo Bangfei angrily slapped his thigh. Zahn picked up the cup again, sipping. This isn't even young Longjing. It's not aged enough and the color is off, lacking the 4 qualities of fragrance, sweetness, bitterness and richness. You call this the way of tea? Bo Bangfei was enraged. Suddenly a guard charged over but Tank had taken care of the guards, only using 30% strength. Bo Bangfei furiously called more men, all armed. Just then someone desperately ran over. Seeing his panic, Bo Bangfei became incensed. That man quickly explained they shouldn't provoke those two, but before revealing who they were, Bo Bangfei punched him. Another lackey who tried to speak up also got hit. Bo Bangfei ordered them to kill Zahn. Zahn told Tank to handle it. Tank promptly dragged them to another room, locked the door and proceeded to beat them up. Outside, Bo Bangfei was still boasting arrogantly. Zahn reminded, drink up, or you won't get the chance. 2 minutes later Tank emerged, all the guards defeated. Bo Bangfei was shocked, unable to believe over 100 men were killed in just over 2 minutes. Zahn compassionately said, still have any moves left? Bring them all out, or you won't get another chance. Tank angrily kicked Bo Bangfei's leg, feeling he was too long-winded and about to finish him off when Bo Bangfei revealed his trump card: "Your sister is still in my hands." He called a lackey but Zan snatched his phone, saying Da K had rescued Long Ningdan, so he was much relieved. Bo Bangfei shuddered and knelt, while a lackey crawled over revealing they were from the Black Clothes Society. Bo Bangfei was terrified as Zan told Tank to take him away. The scene shifted to the seaside, the final place Zan allowed him to see. Bo Bangfei bowed his head begging for mercy, but Zan would not easily spare him. Zan threw a rock at him, eliciting a pained scream. Bo Bangfei crawled up begging for mercy. "I'll pay any price, even sell my life to you. Call my father." At the Bo family home, the old man was Bo Zhendong, the current head, now hosting his 60th birthday banquet. The steward rushed in reporting the young master was kidnapped. "By who? I don't know," he said to put you on the line. Bo Zhendong took out a name card. "Give them this and it'll settle things." Bo Bangfei was worried his father said nothing, but the steward assured him not to worry. With the master making an appearance, no one would dare harm the young master. "Tell my father these people aren't to be provoked." He hadn't finished when the steward cut in. Bo Bangfei desperately tried to explain but Zan snatched the phone. "I'll wait for your owner to come." The steward continued, "Send me the address and I'll give you a name card. Take it and scram as far as possible." Seeing their arrogance, Zan indulged them. "I'll take a knife and chop off Bo Bangfei's arm." "Tank, wrap it up and deliver it to Bo Zhendong." Tank wrapped the severed arm in a white cloth to deliver. At the Bo residence, the banquet was joyous when the steward rushed over with a box, wanting to speak privately, but Bo Zhendong had him announce it openly. The man didn't come, only sending this. Opening the box, the steward saw it was the young master's arm. Zan also called, "I'll personally visit you at your company headquarters at noon tomorrow, and leisurely dispose of your son before your eyes." Bo Zhendong angrily crushed the phone. A lackey suggested ambushing and killing the two en route tomorrow. Bo Zhendong agreed, saying they must uncover the mastermind, still believing it was some ordinary punks kidnapping his son. The scene shifted to a hotel where Zan's family was chatting happily. Only Tank devoured chicken legs hungrily, earning strange looks from passers-by. This reminded Zan of their mercenary days when Tank had the biggest appetite. Once Tank led 1,000 suicide troops, each carrying only 3 ration packs, but they were surrounded by enemies. Tank and his men were forced into a house. To conserve food for key personnel, he endured 6 days without eating anything, all while leading the defense against enemy attacks. By the time Zan came to the rescue, only 20 of Tank's men survived, the rest had perished. Tank was starving, his legs shaking as he walked, but still pressed on and blamed himself for failing to protect his brothers. Now Tank was apologizing to Zan for eating too much. Zan angrily slapped him. "I see your appetite has diminished. In battle you could eat over 20 servings. Have you been slacking in training?" Zan's eyes lit up. "If you don't finish 20 plates I'll skin you." Tank immediately complied. "Yes, Majesty." His foster dad was astonished but Zan pinched him. Tank meant even if the Jade Emperor came he'd still eat 20 servings. His foster father thought Zan was the Jade Emperor's warrior. The next day a group blocked the road, led by a bald man trying to stop Zan. On Zan's end, when he reached the road it was badly congested, nearly causing Tank to flip the car. Zan understood their intention. "Let's humor them. Tank, call a helicopter and tell them to announce the Jade Emperor's warrior is inspecting Haicheng, and Miss He and Wen Zuding are also stuck on this road." It was the weekend and they planned to go downtown, but the PE teacher showed up, covered in wounds and awkwardly claiming he disciplined some thugs. Clearly neither woman believed him and proceeded ahead, but the teacher called them back. "There's a blockade up ahead, some major incident, but no worries, one call from me will resolve it quickly." He summoned a car to pick them up, arriving in minutes. Miss He wondered if she should get in, when Wen Zuding happened to spot Zan and threw herself into his arms, surprising Miss He that they knew each other. As they affectionately chatted, the PE teacher couldn't stand watching anymore and mocked, "A toad lusting after a swan." Zan ignored him and they continued talking. Wen Zuding explained they wanted to go to the music square but were blocked, and the teacher had been ignored into a rage. Zan still disregarded him and told Wen Zuding a plane was coming for him and could bring them along, no need to worry about the traffic jam. Miss He asked incredulously, you arranged a plane because of the traffic jam? Still thinking Zahn was boasting, she pulled Wen Zuding away. The teacher seized the chance to invite them into his car, but Wen Zuding looked back and ran to grab Zahn's hand. Don't joke with us, we can just walk and talk. She tried dragging Zahn but he stood firm. Just then helicopters arrived overhead. Miss He still didn't believe it. Sure, they were just passing by, but the helicopters landed right above Zahn's head. When the helicopter landed, two men disembarked and bowed to Zahn. Boss, please get on board. Zahn invited Wen Zuding along, who called for Miss He to join them. Miss He was shy about her earlier disbelief. On the other end, Baldy also received news of the Jade Emperor's warrior arriving in Haicheng. As helicopters flew by, he was about to interfere but a flag was dropped. Recognizing it as Zahn's, Baldy quickly knelt down. His confused lackeys were pulled down to kneel too, with everyone else following suit. The green-haired man saw the helicopters headed for Duyang Group and told Baldy, who panicked and ordered clearing the blockade while informing Bo Zhendong that Zahn had gone to the company. After arriving, Zahn's helicopter returned to base. Wen Zuding had wanted to invite Zahn out but he was occupied today so they reluctantly parted. Zahn told Tank to carry Bo Bangfei to the company headquarters but two guards blocked their way. Zahn told them to call Bo Zhendong that he was bringing his son to the office to wait. The verbose guards refused to listen so Tank knocked them out with Bo Bangfei's body. Zahn and Tank then continued on their way. On the other end, Bo Zhendong was still standing at the expected landing spot but there was no sign of the Jade Emperor's warrior. Baldy was confused since he clearly saw the helicopter stop at the music square earlier. Just then two subordinates reported the kidnappers had charged into the company building. Baldy was startled and led people back to the company, telling Bo Zhendong to keep waiting for the warrior here. Tank was currently rampaging, defeating all the guards. Baldy happened to witness this and pissed his pants. Zahn ignored him and headed straight for the office. Tank kicked the door open and Zahn told him to call Bo Zhendong to collect his man. But Baldy answered Bo Zhendong's phone instead. Sir, may I use that device? Approved. Install a silencer and clean up after. Tank couldn't get through to Bo Zhendong so Zahn decided to go meet him directly, though the price would be high. He tossed Bo Bangfei down below where people immediately surrounded him. Zahn slid down the building's flank. Bo Zhendong was also there and dragged out a sack. Inside was his son. Though furious that the Jade Emperor's warrior was here, he had to endure and told his men to take Bo Bangfei away and clean up. Just then Zahn and Tank landed. Tank kicked away the men carrying Bo Bangfei, went up and choked one unconscious by slamming him down. Zahn stepped on Bo Bangfei's face. You're Bo Zhendong? Meeting you is really my bad luck. When your son was intact you didn't want him, and didn't want his crippled self either. Now only a corpse remains. If you still don't want him then I'm in a difficult spot. How much do you want? $100 million. Bo Zhendong was shocked. Just then the top legal expert in Haicheng approached, demanding Zahn immediately apologize to Bo Zhendong. But before Zahn could respond, Bo Zhendong said, wait, I'll give it. He then slapped the man and cursed him out, before taking out his platinum bank card to hand over. Zahn took the card and left. Bo Zhendong still wanted to properly welcome the warrior, not realizing Zahn himself was him. For power he didn't even want his own son. Sensing this, Zahn thought of his own father doing the same, and killing intent radiated from him, even frightening Tank beside him. As Zahn recalled the past, Wen Zuding called out to him from behind for a while before he noticed. He was puzzled. Weren't you two at the music square? Miss He heard the warrior was here and came to watch the excitement, unfortunately learning she needed $100 million in assets to enter. Seeing Zahn emerge from there, she became suspicious. Zahn claimed he handled some business inside and not to gossip. The PE teacher mocked Zahn again, annoying Wen Zuding. Zahn didn't want to explain to Miss He, instead giving her Bo Zhendong's bank card, saying she could enter and spend however she liked with it. The PE teacher ridiculed him again. Tank couldn't stand it anymore. Provoking so many times, he ought to be taught a lesson. But Zahn stopped him. The PE teacher called Baldy for help entering Duyang Group but got cursed out instead. Call again and I'll send someone to kill you. Currently Baldy was in Bo Zhendong's office. Such thick glass yet it shattered. He dared not imagine who he had provoked. Not wanting to enter, Wen Zuding gave the card to Miss He. She took Zan's arm. There's a delicious restaurant here called Zijing Pavilion. Seeing her leave, Miss He wondered why she was so smitten with Zan. What use was this useless card? Seeing Wen Zuding not going, she decided not to either. In the parking garage, the men in the blue car were Zan's subordinates, the warrior squad. Discovering he changed direction, they also went to Zijing Pavilion. Zan's group ate and chatted happily. Miss He didn't understand why Wen Zuding brought Zan to the most expensive restaurant in Haicheng. Must be to celebrate getting acquainted today. The moment Tank sat down he wolfed down food. Seeing both were military, Miss He wondered why they weren't excited at all when the warrior arrived. Zan panicked and fabricated excuses, the warrior hasn't arrived yet. Miss He didn't believe it, but the whole Haicheng is spreading this news. The welcoming ceremonies for the warrior must be held within 30 miles of Haicheng. I guess this time only the warrior's subordinates came. The two girls also believed him. Meanwhile, Bo Zhendong couldn't wait for the warrior yet lost the protection squad. He immediately ordered investigating their location. How dare you try to track the warrior's location? Bo Zhendong furiously kicked the man away. I told you to investigate the kidnappers, yet you try tracking the warrior's location instead? Tired of living? Even if you have to dig 3 yards down, find him for me. Then he turned to deal with Baldy, who kept begging for mercy, explaining the man was too powerful and had already fled when he got there, from the 26th floor. Bo Zhendong disregarded this, taking out a gun to kill him. Baldy frantically pleaded for his life, saying he had a lead. On the other end, after being bluntly rejected, the PE teacher went home to drink away his sorrows. Just then Baldy called him, wanting intel on someone. Seeing the photo, the PE teacher readily spilled everything he knew. The scene changed. After eating, the server told Wen Zuding their table was paid for. He also gave her a card, inviting her upstairs to meet young Master Tang Talon. Seeing this, Miss He realized it must be Wen Zuding's suitor who paid, and went to confront her arrogantly. Wen Zuding walked over to the server, returning the business card and money, telling him to stop the pretenses. The server confidently responded this was from young Master Tang, inviting her. He added not to be oblivious. Before he finished, Tank punched him, eliciting pained wails as his nose bled. Cradling his nose, he said, "Just you wait, you're all dead." Shortly after, a group charged in surrounding Zan. It was Tang Talon's guards. Tang walked out asking who struck just now. The server pointed at Tank. Hearing this, Tank provoked, "It was me, what about it?" In fact, the one who invited Wen Zuding was young Master C of the Zhen family. As long as she stayed for drinks with him, her friend could leave. Of course Wen Zuding refused. When Tang tried to touch her, a kick sent him flying. Young Master C asked, "Who are you?" "Someone you can't touch." Furious, young Master C ordered his men to deal with them. Attackers came from all sides. Miss He tried deterring them with the law, gathering to brawl is illegal. But young Master C just laughed. "You're telling us we're breaking the law? Let me show you what truly breaking the law means." Zan felt powerless, unable to even eat in peace. Not wanting the two women hurt, he told Tank to take them away. Tank went over to them and apologized before grabbing and pulling them outside. The lackeys moved to pursue but young Master C called them back. "Deal with this one first. Men, kill him." One man charged forward but Zan effortlessly stopped his hand. The man felt like punching steel. Another pulled out a knife slashing at Zan, who raised his hand breaking the blade. After taking care of 3 more lackeys, he arrived before young Master C, who panicked, "I'm Zhen Badu's man, if you touch me he won't let you off." Zan went up and slapped him. As expected, Shangguan Nalan knows how to bear sons, pity the quality is worthless. "I can give you anything, please don't hurt me." Zan was annoyed and kicked him away. Thinking of that vicious woman made him furious, and he was about to continue beating young Master C when he sensed something off. A bullet came flying at him. Fortunately Zan dodged in time. The shooter was Baldy, who kept yelling, "Save me." Baldy said, "Spare the young master and I'll spare you." Zan remained nonchalant, stomping down hard. Young Master C died with blood spurting everywhere. Zan kicked the corpse towards Baldy, stunning him. He had wanted to save young Master C to build connections, but now that was useless. Baldy waved his hand and a group of armed men surrounded Zan, as he laughed thinking Zan was certainly dead now. Seeing Baldy could summon so many guns domestically, Zahn said, "Not bad, open fire." Baldy couldn't stand his arrogance nearing death. Fire. The men pulled their triggers. Shadows flashed by. It was the warriors' protection squad. They eliminated the men, then knelt on one knee shouting, "Forgive us for the protection squad's late arrival. We'll increase training tenfold tonight, thank you Majesty." Baldy was confused by the address of Majesty, refusing to believe this was the Jade Emperor's warrior. Just as he was about to spout nonsense, a girl charged up, choking and tossing him aside. After dealing with Baldy, she sidled up to Zahn, suddenly acting coy. "Majesty, how could you come to Haicheng without informing me?" Zahn didn't explain much. "Clean up this bunch, I'm going first." Hearing the order, the girl immediately resumed her fierce demeanor and complied. At Wen Zuding's home, Tank started eating the moment he arrived. Both she and Miss He were worried for Zahn and trying to find help. When Zahn called Wen Zuding, "I'm fine, what could happen to me?" "Don't worry, it was just a minor issue." Suddenly he heard rustling in the grass and told Wen Zuding he had to go, would find her later. Zahn followed the sound and saw a man forcing a woman. Before he could start, Zahn intervened. The furious man yelled, "Again daring to stop my fun." He punched but Zahn lightly blocked it. The man panicked as Zahn swiftly broke his limbs. Collapsing, he spat out a needle at Zahn who dodged it still. The man fell into the lake but still shouted as he sank, "Thunder Villa, I won't let you off." Zahn was intrigued and spared his life, looking forward to their vengeance. He untied the woman, intending to call her family but she asked to be brought to Duyang Group instead. The scene shifted to Duyang Group. Zahn walked her to the entrance then left, but she pulled him in. "My father is the second largest shareholder. I'll have him thank you for saving me." Zahn was suspicious, only knowing Bo Zhendong as the largest shareholder. The girl laughed, "My father is Lu Yandan." Meanwhile in the office, an old man slammed the table berating his men for failing to find his daughter. That was the girl's father. Bo Zhendong told Lu Yandan not to worry. "Miss Lu is a precious jewel, certainly somewhere safe. Those useless men can't find her." Lu Yandan realized it was Bo Zhendong's doing, aimed at his shares. His chest suddenly ached and he sat down. "For my daughter's safety, I'll hand over the shares, but first I must hear her voice." Thunder Villa's men were Bo Zhendong's brothers, and currently unreachable. Suddenly the door opened and the girl walked in. Lu Huzi and Bo Zhendong couldn't believe it. She threw herself into her father's arms for a tearful reunion. Zahn also entered, greeting Bo Zhendong. "I want to do business with you." Knowing Zahn rescued his daughter, Lu Yandan thanked him. No longer under Bo Zhendong's threat, he immediately turned hostile. Bo Zhendong signaled Lu Huzi, who charged at the girl. But Zahn was faster, hugging her and blocking Lu Huzi's punch with a loud boom, sending him stumbling back. Seeing he didn't fall, Zahn guessed Lu Huzi had internal energy, confirming for Lu Huzi that his disciple died by Zahn's hand. He still wanted to ask more, but Bo Zhendong intervened. "No need for more words with him here, how can he escape? Capture him first then interrogate slowly." Lu Huzi arrogantly claimed using only 40% power earlier. Some people can't judge their own strength. He angrily tried to charge but Zahn moved first. "Today I'll teach you a lesson." Their fists collided and Lu Huzi was sent flying, crashing bloody into the wall. Was this Zahn's full power? Zahn laughed. "In your eyes, this is internal energy?" Seeing this, Bo Zhendong panicked as Zahn approached, trembling in fear. Zahn slapped him. "I have to resort to force for you to talk properly?" Zahn stepped on his face. "Hand over the shares and I'll spare you." Bo Zhendong still struggled so Zahn increased force. "Fine, I'll hand them over." Lu Yandan was surprised, so easily subdued? After obtaining the shares, Zahn decided to gift them to his aunt. Bo Zhendong thought he was spared and relaxed, but Lu Yandan hadn't forgiven him yet. He ordered his men to hand evidence of Bo Zhendong's crimes to the police. Soon the police arrived to arrest Bo Zhendong and Lu Huzi. To thank Zahn for the evidence, the police rewarded him with a model citizen badge. The rescued girl had wanted to find Zahn a job, but he ended up becoming her boss instead. Lu Yandan thanked Zahn. "If you ever need help in the future, come find me at Duyang Group." Zahn waved and left. The scene shifted to his foster father's home. Tank reported the two girls were safely returned. Seeing Tank still eating, Zahn asked, "Weren't you kept for dinner?" Tank held up 2 fingers. I ate 2 meals before leaving. Slap. All you do is eat. His foster dad said, Wutong is fine. Your skills are enough to feed you, it's okay. Speaking of eating, Zahn asked how his restaurant preparations were going. His foster dad said he had selected a location, just waiting to open. But he worried that after opening he wouldn't have time to care for Long Ningden. Zahn told him to focus on his business. Long Ningden could stay with him. Just then Da Ke and the thug leader arrived. Seeing they rescued Long Ningden, Zahn would reward them, but the humble pair declined, saying it was due to their negligence. Zahn said their reward was training in Xinjiang once, but he wouldn't force them. The thug leader was elated. Returning from Xinjiang to Haicheng is so convenient. But Xinjiang is under the warriors' military control, no one can interfere there. Zahn arrogantly claimed his words were Xinjiang's holy edict. The two were shocked, immediately realizing his identity and kneeling, 10,000 years to the warrior. Zahn left, waving for them to withdraw. Before leaving, Da Ke and the thug leader decided to settle a small matter for Zahn. The next day, the scene shifted to Long Ningden's school office. Wen Zuding gave her an invitation to her birthday party tonight, asking her and her brother to attend. Long Ningden left with it. The PE teacher had waited in the corner for a while, with Zhao Ziki behind him. They planned to take a compromising photo of Long Ningden, but Da Ke and the thug leader suddenly appeared. The two tried explaining, but it was too late. Da Ke punched the teacher while the thug leader handled Zhao Ziki, leaving their faces bruised. The happy pair then left at the Sun household. A man lay in bed while a woman cried beside him. I must kill whoever harmed my son. The bearded man was his father, having received news about the warriors' guards fighting terrorists at Zijing Pavilion, harming his son in the process. His suspicious wife said, "Shouldn't the guards prioritize public safety? I must report this to the military." Her husband slapped her, clearly knowing his own son's character. The tearful woman cried, "You heartless man. He's your own flesh and blood son. Like mother like son." Just then a subordinate reported, "Master, someone's here claiming to be the young master's creditor." The wife rushed out and slapped Zahn. "How dare you bully my son," breaking his limbs and throwing him in the lake. Zahn had surrounded the Sun residence again. Seeing he wasn't let in, he figured only force would work. He suddenly recalled the mob that tormented his mother, some unrelated to the Shangs. One night, he, his mother and sister huddled trembling in a corner, while 2 men entered through the window and door. Whenever Zahn remembered that night, killing intent radiated from him inside. The father sensed the aura and Zahn had knocked out the outer guard. Seeing him enter, the father called for help. "A top expert has come to kill me." Zahn mocked. "The Sun family's experts are all dead." An old man and a man in a robe came out. Zahn wanted to meet the Sun family head, not these people. The robed man angrily attacked. "I'll make you remember you killed Lu Songlong, captain of the protection squad." Zahn lightly evaded and slapped him, blood spurting as his face swelled. Before he could call for help, another slap came crashing down. Unable to watch, the old man charged in, but Zahn turned and slapped him too, knocking out his teeth and bringing tears of pain. "I'm the Sun family steward." Before they could finish, more slaps rained down. The two quickly begged for mercy. "Stop hitting, any more would be foolish." Zahn glared at the others, roaring, "Still not scramming?" They hurriedly fled. Zahn looked at the remaining 2. "I'm giving you a final chance to live. I'll ask one question, you answer one. What other experts does the Sun family have? Did they interact with a knife-wielding martial artist and lightness expert these past years?" They answered. "Apart from the owner, we too are the experts. We haven't contacted any martial artists." Seeing their honesty, Zahn concluded the Suns weren't involved that year and spared them, casually leaving. Suddenly a knife-wielding woman stabbed at him. Zahn pinched the blade between 2 fingers. It was Sun Talon's mother. Zahn tossed the knife aside, but she still wanted to kill him, starting with his loved ones. Hearing this, killing intent erupted from Zahn. The robed man immediately slapped her. They'd all die otherwise. Still arrogant, she started hitting them, but too late. When Zahn heard she intended harming his loved ones, he decided to eliminate the Sun family. Just then a car emerged from the garage. Zahn climbed atop the house and looked. Surprisingly, the owner had abandoned wife and child to flee. Knowing Zan's might, he escaped, not realizing someone had long been targeting the sons. Zan landed on his car. The obedient owner surrendered. "Just state your demands." Just then a military vehicle arrived, the backup he called. He immediately ran over yelling, "Captain Wu, save me." Zan jumped down, about to deal with him when his sister urgently called. The reinforcements also disembarked. Mr. Sun quickly said, "This one's extremely aggressive, if you were a little later I'd be dead." Captain Wu angrily moved to discipline Zan. Mr. Sun pointed behind. "It's him, randomly came to my home murdering, even chasing to kill me." Captain Wu was baffled. "Are you joking?" Mr. Sun looked back to find no one there. The scene changed. Long Ningdan called Zan to the mall to buy a birthday gift for Wen Zuding. As they picked out clothes, Zan noticed a stalker. The blonde man seemed to recognize Zan and hurried to the CEO's office, bursting in to tell the man inside, "The troublemaker from the gens is here." He wanted the CEO to inform the gens, so they'd owe them a favor. The old man planned to deal with Zan first before notifying the gens. By now Zan and his sister had chosen the clothes. The blonde man approached saying to follow him upstairs to pay. Long Ningdan was suspicious. "Isn't the checkout at the entrance? This is the VIP payment counter. The total is 10 million yuan. How will you be paying?" Long Ningdan knew their ill intent and said she didn't need the clothes anymore, pulling Zan away. But they were blocked, using this excuse to apprehend Zan. If Long Ningdan didn't pay, they'd punish her. Zan slapped the man who indignantly said, "I know high officials. One call and you'll be jailed instantly. But follow me to the gens just once, and the 10 million can be forgotten." Long Ningdan worried, but Zan stormed up, knocking them all down in a few punches. He tossed one at the old man. "With your skill, how dare you try following others' lead to be a gangster?" Slap. The man fell next to the elder who shakily pointed at Zan. "You're doomed. Murder is the greatest crime. I've called the police. Wait for your death, ha. No one in this world has the right to judge me. You've been arrogant for too long. When you're jailed, I'll deal with your sister." Seeing his confidence, Zan decided to wait and see what would happen. The police arrived, the same girl from before. The delighted old man quickly said, "I'm Deputy Chief Lu's friend. These two committed murder and robbed me of 10 million. Hurry and arrest them." The policewoman acted deaf, requesting to check the cameras. The panicked old man called Deputy Chief Lu to put in a good word, then passed the phone to her. She put it on speaker. "What is it? Do you have any instructions?" Hearing the voice, Deputy Chief Lu knew it was the chief. She asks, "Do you know the Liren clothes store owner?" "I don't know him." The frightened old man knelt, confessing his lies and false report. But Zan wanted to sue him for price gouging buyers who hadn't paid yet without evidence. Suddenly the old man's phone rang. "Your account just received 10 million yuan. Dumbfounded, the old man was reminded by Zan before jailing to repay him, and to live properly in the future. After settling everything, the policewoman wanted to speak privately with Zan, making Long Ningdan suspicious seeing them go into a room. Inside, the girl acted coy again, demanding a reward from Zan. She then gave him a USB containing information on those who harmed his mother and seized their assets. The scene shifted to Chengdu restaurant, where many people were gathered for the birthday party. Zan went to congratulate Wen Zuding when a man drove up, her pursuer Wu Tianlong. Seeing Zan's closeness with Wen Zuding, he attacked but stumbled back a few steps from their fist collision. His brother also arrived and panicked seeing him fight the warrior, kicking him away. He then went before Zan, kneeling down. "I failed to discipline my junior. My crime deserves 10,000 deaths." He was smart not to reveal Zan's true identity, so Zan spared him. The confused younger brother behind asked who he was, and the elder whispered to him. The trembling man knelt down when Qingshan brought Zan upstairs, telling his daughter to take Long Ningdan outside. After they left, he knelt pleading for Zan's help. The Wens faced tremendous trouble. Every 3 years a competition would be held under the guise of martial arts to decide territories. If they didn't win this year, they'd lose their Haicheng foothold. Zan agreed to help, drawing all of Haicheng's experts for him to identify the culprit from that year. The next day, Zan went to his aunt's for Guang's birthday. He and Long Ningdan brought gifts, and he gave his aunt Bo Zhendong's shares, as well as hiring brain specialists for Guang. After finishing up, on his way back he passed a tree where the policewoman was perched imitating cats. Zan kicked the tree, making her tumble down. She came to report finding the knife expert, Lu Tiando of Thunder Villa, who had secluded himself but emerged now to kill Zan and avenge his brother. The girl brought Zan to Tiancheng restaurant. Lu Tiando was hosting a banquet there at noon, which now irritated Zan as it was a gen asset. He decided the restaurant would disappear tonight. Then Zan brought Tank to crash Lu Tiandao's banquet. Before they even went in, a white car pulled up, the wretched man who abandoned his aunt. The banquet was quite crowded, even the Lu family owner who Lu Huzi kidnapped under his brother Lu Tiandao's orders. Knowing his ill intent, Mr. Lu tried leaving but was stopped by Bo Zhendong, to his shock, clearly Lu Tiandao's machinations. Lu Tiando invited him to take his shares, giving two options, surrender or die. He punched Mr. Lu, who was shielded by his daughter. His guards surrounded Lu Tiando but a wave of his hand sent them flying. Just then young Master San of the Gens arrived to celebrate, and seeing Mr. Lu's daughter moved to force himself on her. Lu Tiando also lusted for her but yielded to him. The furious Mr. Lu tried stopping him but was punched. Suddenly Zan appeared before young Master San, stopping his fist with one finger. He gave him a chance to kneel but Zan grabbed and flung him outside. Lu Tiando attacked but Tank promptly appeared, beating him away. Thinking Tank was evenly matched, Lu Tiando assumed Tank spared him for Zan's questioning, and that he was being merciful. He decided to go kill Zan. Zan said Tank wouldn't act, he couldn't stand the humiliation. Lu Tiando slashed at Zan who stood unfazed, channeling his Kai to shoot out a pebble at him. Despite seeing Zan was skilled, Lu Tiando continued stabbing down with his blade. The blade immediately snapped and the stone struck him. Lu Tiando quickly pleaded for mercy as Zan recalled the stones, eliciting agonized wails. Seeing the dire situation, Bo Zhendong tried fleeing but Tank knocked him out. Young Master San trembled as Zan approached. Kneel down, it's not yet hopeless. He promptly knelt though still confused. A helicopter flew by followed by bulldozers. Young Master San knew they planned to demolish the restaurant. The girl was on standby awaiting Zan's order. He snapped his fingers, take it down. In an instant half the building collapsed, soon becoming a pile of rubble. Zan called out, "Mother, come save me." Shang Guan Nalan answered and Zan told her to give the phone to young Master San to speak with her. Taking it, Zan said, Shang Guan Nalan didn't ask who he was, just to release her son with any conditions. Zan agreed, "Come upstairs and jump to your death. A life for a life." Knowing it was Zan, she tried using money to save her son. Of course Zan disagreed. Young Master San wanted to call his father but Zan lost patience, dispatching him with a slap. Witnessing this, Lu Tiando also collapsed. Before dying he wanted clarity, so Zan asked if he remembered the woman who jumped to her death 10 years ago. Lu Tiando instantly recalled. As Zan was sending him off, he had one last question. He wanted to know Zan's present identity, the Jade Emperor's warrior, Zan Tiandi. Lu Tiando departed satisfied. Sometime later, two men came upon the restaurant ruins, Gen Badu and his eldest son Gen Tiani. In a few days they would come to avenge Zan. A few days later, Zan boarded the competition cruise ship, very luxurious inside. Tank immediately devoured a pig upon entering, forgetting Zan's orders. Luckily the fierce girl investigated the matter. Soon they identified the lightness expert from that year. She wanted to immediately act but Zan stopped her. Wait until after helping the Wens in the competition. She sighed that Zan was so gentle, while that flirt kept stalking her. "Beauty, leave your boyfriend and follow me instead," he arrogantly proclaimed before she roundhouse kicked him in the mouth. "You think you're worthy of him?" She scorned and left the young man sprawled on the floor. Meanwhile Zan didn't consider himself gentle at all. Because between heaven and earth, even if he sprouted wings he couldn't fly away, he remarked, ordering his men to continue lurking in the shadows. The scene switched back to the young man nursing his kick, cursing her a rotten woman, and vowing she'd regret it. Just then he bumped into Zan also boarding the ship, gloomily thinking, he's on too, the wealthy noble second, no wonder she ignored me. But he psyched himself up. Well, now that I've met you, let's see how I play you. Zan wondered who he was when the young man cheerfully introduced himself as Xiao Lu, with some idle chatter. "Follow me, I'll take you to the grand banquet hall. This ship has 7 levels with 5 huge banquet halls, you'd have trouble finding it alone," he offered, which Zan accepted. As they headed for the Grand Hall, Xiao Lu arrogantly plotted to play Zan. At the entrance, Zan strode right in but was stopped by the bouncers. He showed his invitation but they denied him entry, saying only special invites were valid. Zan was a bit puzzled by the exclusive invites, but Xiao Lu bellowed, "Bastards! Do you know who this is? Hurry and call the banquet host to welcome him." Seeing their bluffing, Xiao Lu gleefully acted superior. Barging into the banquet hall, "Do you know the outcome?" This surprised Zan while he demanded Zan kneel and apologize or else. But Zan's slight smile already exuded menace. Just then a muscular young man emerged from the banquet and brightened at the sight of Zan instead of getting angry, even rushing up excitedly at his presence. But Zan denied he was worthy of shaking his hand. The next moment he looked delightedly at Xiao Lu, who cowered in terror. "Bro. Brother Long." Despite the fierce name, Little Long could only call himself Xiao Long before Zan, stunning Xiao Lu. "How can this be? Brother Long actually fawns on this powdered little nobleman." Zan repeated his earlier question, "So is there enmity between us?" But Xiao Lu's reaction was very different now. Brother Long acts if he had offended Zan, and Xiao Lu finally realized in shock that this was the legendary and renowned Zan Wutong. For his rude behavior, Brother Long resoundingly slapped him. "What, Zan Wutong? This is your grandpa Zan." Still not quickly calling him grandpa, Zan tidied his hair with an amused smile. "I didn't ask this boy to kneel and apologize to me." Hearing this, Brother Long was taken aback, then kicked his foolish little brother in the crotch. "Fool! If you wanna die, don't drag others down." He then had his men toss Xiao Lu into the ocean. Xiao Lu pleaded, "Master Zan, I was blind. Spare me." But Brother Long gently told Zan, "Esteemed Master Zan, don't take it to heart. Please come rest inside." Only after Zan entered did Brother Long introduce, "These are all the bell guests for the dance party. Does Sir have any interest?" Sensing killing intent behind him, he stopped. Zan sat on a chair like an emperor. "Step down, don't disturb me." Brother Long didn't dare utter another word. Inside, Miss Qing was thrilled to hear Zan had arrived and wanted to see him, but her father advised, "Qing, young Master Ji socializes extensively and knows many big bosses. You should sit with him more." But she brushed off his words, deeming that young man just a playboy. Her aunt said young Master Ji could provide them 100 times better prospects than Zan, but Qing soon found Zan. Upon seeing him, she politely greeted then introduced, "Wutong. This is the martial arts master my family invited to the competition." But Zan's attitude towards him was icy cold. He arrogantly asked if Zan knew where this was, but Zan just as frostily replied. Yet he pompously spewed his vast knowledge about the ship to Zan. But Zan showed no interest, so the man suggested a tour for edification since Miss Qing was busy. Zan arrogantly retorted, "A dog's eyes looking at people." Next he unleashed his terrifying killing aura, a hand reaching for the man's throat as he recoiled in horror. But a voice behind snapped him out of it. Young Master Ji had arrived, smugly asking about Miss Qing. The martial arts master was still shaken by what just transpired, yet only saw Zan casually sipping wine. Miss Qing then introduced young Master Ji to Zan, but he had no desire to converse with a shrimp. Zan could only sigh helplessly. Suddenly the banquet crowd stirred. It was a beautiful woman both ladies recognized as the famous Miss He Qinghua. Realizing she was his sister's teacher, Zan bid Miss Qing farewell and left, making young Master Ji further disdain him. He then asked Miss Qing to lead him to Miss He, which she agreed. The scene switched to the banquet center where two men, Zhou and Xiao, were conversing. Young Master Ji swaggered over to introduce himself pompously to Xiao. "Mr. Xiao, I'm Little Ji of Top Entertainment." Xiao didn't seem to care, even exhaling smoke in his face. "Oh, you seem a little familiar. What's the matter?" Young Master Ji coughed then claimed a fan wanted to meet Mr. Xiao. Glancing at Miss Qing, Xiao was very interested since she was high class. He flattered young Master Ji and even conferred him a title to facilitate things. He then approached Miss Qing with ill intent, frightening her. "What?" He misunderstood. At her discomfort, he just laughed, "Don't be shy." Seeing Xiao's lewd behavior, Miss Qing's steward moved to stop him but someone's fist shot towards him. With a glance, the steward easily blocked the punch from this blue-robed elder. He was Xiao's thug, meant to threaten them. The punch sent the steward flying back outside. He recognized the man as a former senior expert. The elder was also surprised someone still remembered him. The steward bowed apologetically to Miss Cheng for failing to fulfill his agreement with her father. This baffled Miss Cheng, but the steward just coldly left her alone and advised not to offend them but agree to follow Xiao. His negativity infuriated Miss Cheng, who cursed him shameless, but Miss He timely diffused the situation and directly saved Miss Cheng. Seeing Xiao's departing back, young Master Ji was unwilling to accept this and charged at Miss Cheng to vent his anger. But the next instant he suffered a fierce kick that made him spit out blood. After a few beats, Xiao and his guards were also shocked by the one who kicked young Master Ji flying. What? Who is it? It was the protagonist Zan arrogantly appearing to protect Miss Cheng, infuriating Xiao since young Master Ji worked for him after all. But Zan showed utter disdain for Xiao, deeming his face unworthy of being punched. Miss He happily recognized Zan and received his friendly gesture, inadvertently provoking Xiao's jealousy. Miss He relied on the He family's prestige yet had unclear relations with this no-name punk. Xiao threatened Miss He while his guard told Zan to bow his head and repent for forgiveness. But apologizing wasn't in Zan's dictionary. He stormed up kicking the guard's face, leaving him cradling it in pain. The powerful kick even sent him flying far. Only now did Zan contemptuously speak, and his displayed might made the onlookers gasp in awe. Seeing his senior also fall, Miss Cheng's steward couldn't believe his eyes. Xiao was enraged by Zan's actions, and the crowd supported him beating Zan. But before Xiao could threaten Zan, he directly poured wine over his head, warning to kill him if he said another word. This left everyone aghast as Miss Cheng tried containing Zan's anger. At this time, Brother Long was chatting with some tycoon wanting to meet Master Zan, but Brother Long said he was an unreachable heavenly figure. This man just wanted an introduction and would leave the rest to him, plotting to use a honey trap on Zan. Upon entering, his eyes lit up at seeing his desired Master Zan. To meet the master here is an honor spanning 3 lifetimes. Meanwhile, Xiao couldn't believe his own father was calling Zan master despite their vast age difference. His introduction directly shocked the entire banquet, even Miss Cheng's guard was flabbergasted. Xiao Tianwang now looked at Zan with disdain, earning a slap from his father. Still confused, he questioned Zan's relevance to their entertainment industry. His father was rendered speechless, while Xiao Tianwang continued provoking Zan to withdraw. Seeing Zan turn to leave, he excitedly exclaimed, "Ha ha ha, you've left now? Weren't you going to kill me?" But the next instant his entire body suddenly stiffened and froze. His father touched his shoulder from behind but had no idea what happened, his whole body immobilized. He helped Xiao Tianwang collapse to the ground, unable to believe his son was virtually dead. Brother Long could only console him, unable to imagine Zan's true strength. Suddenly the crowd smelled urine. At a small corner, a bespectacled man seemed to want revenge on Zan, crushing a wine glass in his hand. "Third brother, fourth brother, time to avenge you too." The scene shifted to the cruise deck where Zan was meditating tranquilly when a voice rang out. A sultry girl in red was sweet-talking him, so Zan called out his subordinate for this, yet he was eating obliviously. Zan resolved to teach him a lesson upon returning, while his beautiful teammate offered to discipline the girl for him but was flatly rejected. The girl started clinging seductively to Zan. "You really don't remember me at all?" Zan remained cold while she kept babbling flirtatiously. After a while she admitted Xiao sent her to probe Zan's attitude, whether only reconnaissance was unclear. Unexpectedly she now stripped, affirming he wanted to keep Zan, yet he wasn't aroused at all, even teasing her a little. She also conceded part of it was her coming here herself to be pampered by Zan, but he showed not a shred of temptation, even carrying and dumping her outside the door, saying to treat this as never happening. Meanwhile, the blue-haired man sensed killing intent here and wanted to catch the culprit to inform Zan. "Your Highness, there's an assassin." Though extremely well hidden, a hint of killing intent leaked when you opened the door. Back to the girl, she was resentful of Zan when suddenly a mysterious arm pulled her into a room. She assumed it was Zan again acting coy, but he was occupied with something else entirely. The scene switched to the blonde assassin sensing he was being tailed, and Zan's subordinate appeared before him. Seeing this, he angrily lashed out a kick but Zan's subordinate lightly blocked it. However, he took out a spray and doused the man, knocking him out cold. The bespectacled assassin himself was surprised such a high-end spray only made his opponent pass out. He wondered how powerful this man was, then pulled out a sharp dagger to finish off Zan's subordinate. But before he could act, someone stopped him, even slapping him. It turned out to be his father. His father believed being unable to control the subordinate meant being unable to control Zan, so he wanted to keep the survivor alive. His son also admitted being too rash. But his father was very confident in dealing with Zan, even capturing all of East Ocean. Hearing his father's thoughts, the bespectacled man eagerly offered to look after Shinki and received approval. He then pounced on Shink's sleeping body, while Zan felt uneasy on his end about losing Shink's signal. A girl flew over wanting to placate Zan's anger to avoid harming civilians on the cruise ship. She even wanted to immediately fly off and rescue Shinki. Zan just smiled at this situation, puzzling her. He reaffirmed he didn't laugh at all, and told her to first copy lines of punishment 30 times before going to rescue him, astonishing the girl. The scene switched to the cruise deck where a blonde man was live streaming on his phone, arrogantly flaunting things online. Suddenly 2 or 3 guards surrounded the frightened youth. The man inside ordered them to make him act a little. But the lad refused and tried leaving, only to be seized and beaten despite his pleas. The man didn't feel he had the status to be called, Your Highness, yet. Hearing this, the subordinate behind immediately fawned and flattered his master. At this time, the qualifying tournament on the cruise also officially began. It shifted to the waiting room where Zan was present. His first match would be against the Wens. Zan stepped out and saw his burly opponent extremely smug. After a shoulder bump, he told Zan their confrontation was prearranged. The bystanders didn't believe he could beat Zan. While Zan remained expressionless, his opponent kept arrogantly crowing before the match. The scene changed to the pool where Zan's female subordinate was relaxing to receive his next order. She reported having blocked the one who tried tampering with the data, using physical means. Suddenly a bullet pierced the young Wen master's body, while the announcer declared the match starting. The one who bizarrely appeared on stage surprised everyone. The signal sounded and he charged at Zan, but his kick was smoothly evaded. Zan recognized him as Sun Rongyu, having replaced the Wens to fight. Sun Rongyu threw some words at Zan then threatened to end his life right now, but this punch was also completely suppressed by Zan. He revealed having purposely kept hidden to await the right timing. Zan took the initiative in waiting for Sun Rongyu to expose his intentions, and today that had arrived. Sun Rongyu painfully held his shoulder asking who Zan was, but Zan recounted him harming and killing Sha Chunyu. He then exerted a bit of power on Sun Rongyu's neck to overawe him. Sun Rongyu panicked, only able to plead for his life and swear not to die by Zan's hand, although much blood was flowing from his mouth already. Sun Rongyu kicked away to free himself, but Zan grabbed and controlled his leg. Not wanting him to die so easily, Zan broke Sun Rongyu's leg with a twist, making him shriek that Zan was a devil. The announcer also declared Zan's victory, while he on the other hand crippled Sun Rongyu to paralyze him permanently. Sun Rongyu begged Zan to kill him, but Zan didn't want him dying so straightforwardly. At this time, the Wens also frantically charged up cursing Zan, but it only made him feel the opportunity to eradicate them was nearing. Inside, the earlier arrogant young master instantly pissed himself in fear. The outcome was the Wen's Zan Wutong winning decisively. The excited announcer exclaimed over Zan Wutong's incredible display of might. Miss Cheng apologized for her uselessness, but Zan said he would represent Duyang Group to compete. They all deemed this joke worthy of rejection, but Zan proclaimed being the largest shareholder of Duyang Group. The announcer confirmed this too. Inside, father and son felt even more advantaged since Zan was tiring himself out. Outside, the tournament continued as none dared reject a major shareholder's participation. Zan's next match was against Meng Zhikong. Meng Zhikong politely greeted Zan, surprised that an ordained one like him would also come to this muddled water, but he still loved martial arts and wanted to compete with experts under heaven. After warning Zan to be careful, Meng Zhikong charged in with a frontal punch, but was easily avoided by Zan as expected. The evasion speed greatly shocked the monk. He lashed out with a slap but was still avoided. All his moves were easily dodged. Only now did Zan grab Monk Zhikang's hand, showing contempt for his mediocre skills. Zan broke the monk's arm, causing him excruciating pain. The monk was pushed back but stubbornly charged again, yet was still smoothly evaded. Whether punching or kicking, it was futile. Zan's awesomeness and handsomeness left Miss Qing exhilarated. The announcer once more praised Zan Wutong's incredible abilities, astonishing the Xiao family head. Meanwhile, the monk was still attacking Zan, who was preparing to counterattack. A fierce punch directly to Monk Zhikang's stomach made him crumple, clutching his chest in agony. Zan suggested announcing the result now. The surprised announcer didn't expect this, but right after Zan spoke, the monk tragically collapsed on the stage. Seeing this, the announcer declared Zan Wutong the winner. The Xiao family head was extremely resentful, while the third match would start immediately. The girl Shinki appeared, praising Zan for being so handsome and fighting outstandingly. What outstanding, just convenient, they're too weak. Though he said this, Shinki insisted he was very handsome. Zan asked about Shink's situation, and she said he was still sleeping, not awake yet. Suddenly, Miss Qing burst out from behind the wall, throwing herself delightedly into Zan's arms, surprising him. She wanted to thank Zan for helping with the earlier matter, but he deemed it a trivial thing, also reminding her it would invite gossip with so many people around. Hearing this, Miss Qing abruptly shifted moods, decisively releasing him. Wutong, pretend you didn't see anything. Then she resentfully ran off quickly, leaving Zan puzzled by what just happened. Wow, so arrogant. Shinki ridiculed, Your Highness. How unexpected, yet you ate her dog food. Zan felt somewhat embarrassed by her words. Shinki then pessimistically said no matter how many women Zan had, she would never be in his heart. Annoyed, Zan scolded her nonsense until she pleaded while hugging him, Your Highness, I also want your embrace. Faced with this, Zan just indifferently stroked his hair. Now the next competitors took the stage. The next match was Teacher Zhen of the Zhens against Master Gui of the Xiao family. The unlucky Xiao family was matched against expert Zhen Badu. Seeing Zhen Badu's might, Master Gui decided to directly forfeit for a quick and safe exit. This surprised Zhen Badu a bit, but he remained disdainful towards Master Gui. The onlookers were also astonished by Master Gui's shameful surrender. But he knew his own limits and thus admitted defeat. Turning back, he told Xiao he lost. Xiao accepted it, blaming their bad luck for encountering a strong opponent. The scene changed to the VIP room where Zhen Badu's son congratulated his easy win without fighting, even making Master Gui surrender. But Zhen Badu felt it wasn't worth celebrating since they weren't true opponents to begin with. Outside, the second round also started. The first match was Zan Wutong against Teacher Tai of the Tai family. Teacher Tai was filled with pessimism about facing an opponent like Zan, while the spectators looked forward to his performance. The official match then commenced. Zan felt Teacher Tai was very afraid of him yet reluctantly accepted the truth. Seeing this, Zan ruthlessly struck him down then and there, still keeping up appearances when facing death. In the second match of round 2, Zan was again victorious, continuing to represent the Lias against the next opponent, Teacher Lien of the Zhao family. The crowd was astonished that Zan represented two families, while Teacher Lien cautiously took the stage. He lashed out a kick at Zan, who lightly blocked it with a disdainful headshake, indeed respecting Zan's might. Knowing it'd be hard to win, Teacher Lien tried finding a flaw in Zan for a fatal surprise attack. But Zan didn't want to play with him anymore and unleashed his killing mode. This stunned Teacher Lien, who fearfully struggled to resist, but with one punch to the stomach Zan swiftly settled matters. Teacher Lien was sent flying with a bloody mouth before officially hitting the ground, the speed leaving everyone in awe. Zan told the announcer to declare his win since he had held back, Teacher Lien wouldn't die. The chubby MC announced Zan's familiar victory. Inside the VIP room, Zhen Badu believed the finals would be between him and Zan. Afterward, both Zan and Zhen Badu defeated their respective opponents until the Wen's Zan Wutong faced the Lias Zan Wutong. Everyone ridiculed the impossibility of fighting himself, puzzling even Zan. With this situation, Xiao proclaimed Master Zan would directly advance to the finals. Xiao added anyone dissatisfied could directly confront Zan on stage, but none were foolish enough to offer up their lives. Brother Long also recognized Xiao's intention, deeming him truly insightful. The MC announced Master Zan's direct finals qualification to await his opponent. Now the second semifinal match would occur between Teacher Zhen of the Zhens and Teacher Wang of the Wangs, namely Zhen Badu vs Aoyang Jianjian. The atmosphere was fiery in anticipation of this fight. Aoyang Jianjian was determined to avenge his previous loss, while Zhen Badu also simmered with fighting spirit. To defeat Zhen Badu, Aoyang Jianjian had wholeheartedly trained for this day of revenge. He stabbed towards Zhen Badu but still felt a lingering sense of danger. No matter Aoyang Jianjian's sword techniques, Zhen Badu took him down with one punch. The punch sent Aoyang Jianjian flying with a bloody mouth, earning Zhen Badu's scorn as a cripple. Unexpectedly though, Aoyang Jianjian could still stand and continue the match, intriguing Zan a little about the fight's progression. At this point, Zhen Badu utilized the Steel Aura Big Achievement technique, frightening Aoyang Jianjian with his rapid improvement. Zhen Badu approached Aoyang Jianjian, his clenched fist surging with killing intent and forcing him to admit defeat. But Zhen Badu's punch was still thrown, a meteoric blow to the arena ground that sent wood chips flying everywhere. Aoyang Jianjian felt relieved to narrowly avoid losing his life. Zhen Badu stated he could never surpass him, but Aoyang Jianjian swore he'd regret this one day. The MC declared Zhen Badu's win, setting up the finals between Zan Wutong and Zhen Badu. Everyone excitedly cheered for the final match, while Zhen Badu challenged Zan to come battle him. Without hesitation, Zan stepped forward to face him amidst the spectators cheering. The scene switched inside where Shinki and Shinki were chatting. Shinki said he was assaulted by the Zhen young master. Shinki also revealed she had seen that guy stripping Shinki. If not for her, he would have been assaulted. Hearing this left Shinki extremely indignant. Back at the arena, the MC declared the final decisive battle starting, with Zan Wutong and Zhen Badu glaring resentfully. Yet neither made a move, surprising the audience. Xiao recognized both wanted the opponent to attack first to probe each other's strength. But this impatience caused both sides to exchange fists. Zhen Badu was shocked by Zan's rapid strength growth, though he claimed it was for revenge. The two then relentlessly battled, exciting the crowd. Zan swore revenge on Zhen Badu, using illusion palm strikes against him but getting evaded. Their fierce fight continued with Zhen Badu still unbelieving Zan's power exceeded his imagination, while Zan arrogantly affirmed it. At this point, Zhen Badu decided to unleash his true abilities against Zan, who seemed unafraid. The scene changed to inside the cruise where Shinki was monitoring the fight through special tech. She noticed a very familiar ship, the D family's. Back outside, Zhen Badu ferociously charged at Zan, throwing a punch directly at him. But Zan just smiled lightly and boldly countered with his own fist, the tremendous might cracking the deck. Their colliding fists then created a huge explosion with Zan's punch stabbing into Zhen Badu's gut, making him shriek. Zan followed by punching his face, causing Zhen Badu to spit blood. As he lay motionless on the ground, Zan scorned him while the crowd was awed, and the MC yelled in shock. Everyone gripped their heads, horrified that top expert Zhen Badu could be defeated by a single move from Zan, too frightening. In the VIP room, the Zhen young master was shocked his father lost. Meanwhile, Zhen Badu stood up looking haggard. It's been a long time since anyone made me bleed. You're the first. Seeing he could still get up, Zan taunted him to unleash more moves, things getting interesting. At this time, Zhen Badu discarded his outer cloak. Let me show you my full power. Suddenly, a blue energy field surrounded Zhen Badu's body with lightning also appearing, creating tremendous momentum. But Zan felt this was too dragged out. Zhen Badu began reciting his techniques, his strength steadily rising. Abruptly, a sword emerged from Zhen Badu's hand, surprising Zan who recognized the supreme profound scripture. Zhen Badu was also shocked Zan knew this weapon. In this world, only you can make me go all out. Don't disappoint me too much. Zhen Badu charged Zan, the sword wreathed in lightning. Zan's sharp eyes successfully evaded his stab, astonishing Zhen Badu. But now he summoned countless swords to pierce Zan. Not easy when Zan created a yellow shield bubble protecting himself, the thunder sword shattering it and disappearing too. Zhen Badu kept pushing Zan to death's edge, stabbing straight at his chest. The scene changed to the VIP room where the Zhen young master watched his father fight. After sticking his neck out all these years, Zahn would certainly die today. But outside, Zahn was still very calm, directly pinching the sword between two fingers using the spiritual restraint technique. Realizing this, Gen Badu panicked as Zahn shattered the blade to continue attacking. With one punch to his face, Zahn terrified Gen Badu. Next he grabbed the loser's hand and broke it. Unexpectedly, he even placed his foot atop Gen Badu's head to humiliate him. Gen Badu, this little skill is all you have? Zahn then clutched his collar, recalling his vow to make him pay. Everyone gaped while the young master was extremely worried for his father's life. The scene changed to Shinki ordering the D family's ship to enter undetected. She commanded all submarines, warships and planes to retreat, allowing that ship through while hiding themselves from discovery. Everyone swiftly obeyed, while Shinki wondered why the dis came. Back outside, Zahn held Gen Badu's neck and he told Zahn to just kill him. But Zahn stated he wouldn't let Gen Badu die so easily. Next he used a strange move, pressing Gen Badu's chest to cripple his cultivation. I want the Gen families you to experience everything I did. Gen Badu, your era has ended.